using stuff and
So I was oh, go ahead, CK.
no, I just I think he's just using stuff, and because people don't remember what these words are, he kind of finessed y'all. I should have stopped him right in there. I'd be like, stop, hold up. No, I'm just saying, like it would catch a lot of people slipping because
it ain't catch me slipping because I ain't say I knew that.
This guy not slipping like that, Unc. I mean, like he got to rambling on about something that he don't know what he's talking about.
Yeah, but that's the ploy. That's the ploy. So, all right, let me see how many people we got in the chat room. Starting to fill up a little bit. Let's get to fill up a little bit. Say something loud. Yeah, he definitely ain't catch me slipping. I'm like, I don't know, brother. Should have asked him to explain it. And what does that mean to the conversation? We really got him good, right?
Yeah. And I was reading the article today about how like the whole 5G kind of I mean, people were been doing this conspiracy theory with 5G even before last year.
Jeremy Kadar, peace to you. I see you. Too Smooth 71. What's good, man?
Multitasking.
What's up, Joogie? Man, you down there? I know you at New Orleans, man. How y'all making down there? Heard there's a war zone down there, brother. Stay strong, man. Stay scienced up, man. Stay on your people's head with that. Mr. Joogie, Anthony Smith, what's good? I see you the show. Yeah, I see how you doing it. Yeah, I'm gonna be over there and check that out, man. I see you. I see you. Yeah, we're about to get about 18 people. Let's let the crowd up a little bit, man. We'll have a powerful show for y'all tonight. Yep, let these people gather in a little bit. Give them a minute. So what was you saying, OCK, though?
Hold on a second. Multitasking.
Oh, there you go. No, we need your full. Okay. All right.
I mean, I'm on point.
Concrete Coy.
What's going on, huh?
Yeah, man. Mm-hmm. We'll have a good one tonight, man. We got them timestamps. We'll put them later on, man. Yep. Start this thing off proper. All right. Hey, man, make sure y'all go over to the Pseudo Killer channel and subscribe right now. Just type in Pseudo Killers.
There's a Pseudo Killer sound?
Yeah. Yeah, we're gonna hype that up because that's what
we're going to
shows from. Yeah. Clean everything up a little bit. Yep, it's right. You see it? Yep. Can y'all see it? Y'all see it? Put it up on YouTube.
Nah.
You type it in?
I mean, is it spelled the way I think it's spelled?
Yeah.
No, it's not popping up. Maybe you can throw the link to it in the chat. And I'll throw it in the YouTube chat. I don't type it in multiple ways. I don't see this popping up.
You should.
Yep.
What's wrong with you?
I mean, what's wrong with me? Why something got to be wrong with me?
It couldn't be me. Couldn't be.
Okay, well then throw the link to it right now. Throw the link.
Well, you know, I can
you be messing up. You be doing some other randomness.
I'm human.
And then you trying to act like something wrong with us.
I thought it was y'all all the time, my fault. Let me see. Let me see. AS. Did you put the AS? Let me see what come up there, CK.
What?
Hold on, let me see. I got the super ultra slow computer. Yeah, it ain't popping up. You're right, CK.
Yeah, you might have to publish it or something like that. I know some of them sometimes
it won't do it unless you got a video on it yet or something like that.
Something like that. I ain't done it in a long time, but I know you gotta like publish it, make it public or whatever sometime.
Let me see. Oh shoot, well, I don't know. Hold on, let me get that. Let me do that. See the like on the dashboard. So I can get that. All right, let's see who we got in here so we can get this thing right. I see you, OG Big Nook from New York City. What's good, man? Ern, I see you, Ern. What it do? Brendan Sims, what's up with you? Alpha Male, what's up with you, man? Too Smooth 71. Yep. Mm-hmm. I see you. And you know I can't even read your name, man. Quagga. You got a long name, the longest name in the history. Zane is in the building. Zane. I thought Zane. All right. Yeah, we're gonna have a powerful show tonight. For sure. See if I can get this other YouTube channel I want y'all to subscribe to. Man. I'll get that straight. Thought it was right here for real. Pseudo Killers. All right, if you're on YouTube. All right, let me see. So put y'all the link in here so y'all can go ahead and subscribe. Real quick, and we're gonna get about our business.
So did you drop that link in the back chat?
Yep, I'm gonna do that first. Yep.
You do realize I'm talking about to the YouTube channel that you're speaking of, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, just making sure. You'd be doing some randomness.
I ain't doing the random thing today. Got to be on my A game today. We got the professionals in the building for real. I'm really appreciative.
Anyway.
All right, here you go, CK. This is it. Tell me this is it.
Really, wireless.
That's it. You got it?
Actually, the combination of
Yep.
all
You got it, CK?
is the combination of
Uh-huh.
the radio.
Yeah, I typed that in. That didn't come up.
Oh, that's it. Ain't nothing on it though, so they can start subscribing though.
The channel should still come up though.
Mm-hmm. That's it. It came up, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah, because ain't nothing more than it's probably at the bottom of the list. We're gonna move it up. I appreciate everybody subscribing, man. Make sure y'all subscribe to the Pseudo Killers. All right, man. We're trying to get those subscribers up, man. We're gonna go ahead and get it in. Hey, Corey, you want to bring us in or what? What you got? You want to bring us in? You want to start it off or what?
Yeah, I just like to say what's up to everybody in the chat. What's up to everybody on the panel. Peace and love to everybody. Just want everybody to know a lie will make it halfway around the world before the truth can get his pants on and get out of bed.
And that's a fact. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, man, we live tonight, man. In the building, man. What's going on? Pseudo Killer official Concrete Corey. What's up, bro?
What's up? What's good? What's good? You know, just trying to put some serious information out there, make everybody aware of things. You know what I mean? We got a lot of misinformation out there during this time of crisis, and we just got to clean it up a little bit.
Yeah, you actually putting them cement shoes on them pseudos and that misinformation is sinking to the bottom of the ocean. Clark Kent, what's good with you, Clark Kent, man? About time to throw on that cake. What's good with you, Clark Kent?
Man, ain't too much, man. Just glad to be amongst the greats and some brilliant brothers and sisters, man. Peace to everybody on the chat and the panel. Man, glad to be here, man. Still breathing.
Yeah, still breathing. Hey, Chef and L, man. Man, Baltimore official, man. What's good with you, Chef?
My bad. What's happening, everybody? Nothing, chilling out. Kind of disgusted. I hope we can do some justice tonight. And appreciate the doctors for being on here.
Mm-hmm. That's right. Well, I see you, Vance. What's good? Politically incorrect. What's going on, Vance, my main man? What it do? What it do? What's up?
What's good? What's good? Peace to the panel. I seen you beating up, doing your thing a little bit on Sarnetta earlier. I heard Reggie say he wanted to smoke.
Yeah,
that's interesting.
Mm-hmm. You're going to get him right. Hey, CK the Poet. What's up with you, sis? The brilliant one. What it do?
Peace. Peace to the panelists. Peace to the chat.
Mm-hmm. Hey, Pseudo Killer official, Dr. Oya Mayat. Man, the superior one, the one with the knowledge, universal knowledge, giving it to the people like you're supposed to. What's going on, Dr. Oyamaya?
Hey, peace and love to the pseudo killers on deck. Peace and love to the panel, peace and love to everyone under the sound of my voice. I want to just thank just Dr. Ryan for coming on. I know that he said about 15, 20 minutes, but I want to thank him for being here with us tonight. And I'm looking forward to the discussion and the good information that's going to be circulating. Peace and love.
Yeah, peace and love there, man. And so, you know, we got the brilliant doctor on, man, Dr. Ryan, man. And we're in serious times right now. And in these serious times, in these moments, we don't have time to play. This is not the moment for the people who think they know. This is not a moment for the people who thought they read a book and had a good grade in high school, you know what I'm saying, and think they know about said subjects. This is not that moment in our lives. This is the moments for the experts. And like I said to you on the phone, it's a time when the great ones got to step up. Those who have the rigor, who've taken time to spend 8 to 9 to 10 years of their life and dedicated to subjects, it's that time for y'all to speak up. So Dr. Oyamaya, why don't you go ahead and give the brother a proper introduction so the people can know this man's bio. This doctor is an important part in the community. He's doing a lot of great things. So go ahead and give him his just due, Dr. Oyamaya.
Oh yeah, no doubt. Dr. Ryan and I, we go way back. We go back to Poly. I was actually at Poly for 1 year before I got into a scuffle and got put on out of there. But he was a year ahead of me at Poly Institute in Baltimore, which is a STEM focused, is actually one of the top high schools in Baltimore City. And so anyway, I met Dr. Dante Ryan there. And then I met up with him again at Morgan. Again, he was a year ahead of me, but we met up at Morgan State University in the School of Engineering. And we were hooded on the same day, May the 18th, 2013. I came out of my track at that time was signal processing, and my focus was language recognition. But his focus, he came out of a lab that we had at Morgan called CompStar, where they focus on like RF signals and microwaves and research. But anyway, I'm going to read his bio, but I'm telling you, he's an awesome brother. He's a family man. He loves his people. And when I say he loves his people after he graduated and went out into industry. He started a program called, or not a program, but a school called Ryan's Institute. And so it was an opportunity for us to send our babies to his institution for summer camp, for spring break academy, for SAT prep. You know, so he didn't forget where he came from. He reached right back to the kids of Baltimore City. He also has a program called Boys to Men Leadership Academy, where he goes to different schools in Baltimore and he mentors young boys, you know, through this program. So, I mean, Dr. Dante Ryan is a blessing to the community. And so, you know, I'm happy to know him, happy to be his friend, and happy to introduce him. So anyway, let me go ahead and read his bio. Okay, I hope you guys can hear me loud and clear. Okay, Dr. Dante Ryan is a native of Baltimore, degree in electrical engineering and doctorate in engineering from Morgan State University in 2001 and 2012, respectively. Dr. Ryan has over 15 years of professional experience in radio frequency engineering, beginning his career as an RF systems engineer at AA Corporation, a research associate and circuit design team lead for the Center of Microwave Satellite and radio free at Booz Allen Hamilton Technology Consulting Firm, and currently a vice president and chief technology officer of the Ryan's Institute LLC, an education and technology consulting firm that he co-founded with his wife, Antonica Ryan, in 2012. He has given several technical presentations regarding adaptable power amplifiers, and anti-jam technologies at various technical conferences, such as Government Microcircuit Applications and Critical Technology Conference, a Sillamore Conference on Signal Systems and Computers, and Joint Navigation Conference. Though the Ryan's Institute several Baltimore City public schools to provide enrichment programming to their respective students, one-on-one tutoring, pop-up granary cultural enrichment program, Spring Break Academy for Science, Technology, enrichment, Step 101 team building, a standardized test preparatory, it says, are all programs that students of Baltimore City and surrounding counties have participated with the Ryan Institute LLC, recently being selected as a direct partner with the Baltimore City Public School Office of Family Engagement. The Ryan Institute is dedicated to its continuous service to the students of Baltimore in fulfilling its mission for preparing scholars for Global Lambda chapter of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated, where he is tasked to lead the chapter's outreach efforts of providing effective education and mentoring programming for youth in Baltimore and the Baltimore metropolitan area. In this position, Dr. Ryan has led the chapter's effort to provide free SAT prep services and college life exposure to over 300 high school students. Dr. Ryan lives in Baltimore with his wife, Tony, their son, Dante II, and daughter, Caitlin. Thank you so much, Brother Dante. Brother Dr. Dante.
It was a Doc. Can you hear me okay?
Oh, yeah, I hear you loud and clear, Doc.
Okay, good. Only reason I'm asking because I wasn't sure, because you were kind of going in and out a little bit, and I wasn't sure if it was on my end or your end. So I just want to make sure that you guys.
Yeah, it may have been on my end, but if I'm going in and out, please stop me, because I wanted to definitely read through your bio and just, and give it some justice.
Oh, no. Hey, listen, I appreciate it. Thanks for even having me on the call. Thanks for even considering me to jump on the call and kind of share some of my thoughts and some of the things that I've learned over the years. So I just appreciate it. And I'm very humbled to be on the call. So thanks, man. I appreciate y'all.
Yes, let's get right into this. A lot of misinformation is circulating around on the internet about first of all, we in the midst of a pandemic, and some of the misinformation, I think I passed some of that on to you. And they're talking about the harmful effects of 5G. Can we kind of talk about that? Like, if they're all harmful effects, does that make any sense? And should we have any concerns about 5G? First of all, just being harmful to human beings. That's my first question.
Yeah. So a couple of things, right? And when you talk about this, not even just with 5G. I mean, it's been a constant thing since we've been using wireless technology. It's always a concern about radiation and how it affects human bodies and things of that nature. And so, in particularly when we talk about cell phones and so forth, there has been, when you're doing a literature search, whatever maybe, you'll see some research that might say there is some effects or possibly some effects, and then you see others where say, hey, there is no effects. Overall, there has not been any clear links between cellular radiations and transmissions and harmful effects on the body. Again, if you look at some of these articles, you'll see that they'll use things like that there's a possibility or that it is possible. So that is the case. But in all of the cases, you've never seen anything that was very conclusive about, yes, this is definitely causing, some harmful effects to the body. So there, you won't see any article that has been very conclusive about it. And a lot of it could be various reasons why. It may be partially because the sample size in which they test evaluated humans may not have been large enough. It may be because, you know, they did it on, you know, animals instead of humans. So there's various reasons why they haven't come to conclusion. But overall, there has nothing been it has been very conclusive to say, hey, this is, you know, cellular transmissions will affect the body, right? So that's what my response would be, right? Now, when we talk about the use of our cell phones, and I'm going to start to slowly transition into 5G a little bit, but when we talk about the use of our cell phones, one of the things that we have to realize is that our cell phones are not transmitting at a high power level, right? The way, in particular, the frequency in which our cell phones are operating and so forth, before, if it was harmful to your body, the first thing you will feel is your skin you will feel your body getting hot. And coincidentally, I've actually been burned by high power radio frequencies, like doing some of the research I was doing years ago. I've actually been burnt by it. So I actually felt, you know, when something was transmitting too hot, I've actually felt it on my skin. So it will burn you more so than before it begins to penetrate your skin. And so that's something that we got to be mindful of, that the use of our cell phones, we're not transmitting at a high power. That's why we don't feel it on our, you know, if we're using our cell phones, we won't feel our skin getting hot. We may feel the battery of the cell phone getting hot, but we don't feel the transmission hitting our skin, where it's heating up our skin and then penetrating our skin and so forth. So that's the first thing I would encourage everybody to think about, and even look up. You can look it up yourself, you know, but that's the first thing. And then the second thing is that, you know, when we talk about the use of 5G, and then why there is some concerns, is this: 5G is now moving into a higher frequency than what we've been historically using for our cellular service. And the reason why they're beginning to use higher frequencies is because they realize that, you know, once you add data, i.e. video and email and all that stuff like that to your cell phone transmission, you're using a certain amount of that bandwidth to transmit that data. And so typically that transmission or the bandwidth is a fraction of your overall frequency band. And so what they realize is that, hey, well, if I go up in a higher frequency, that same 10% bandwidth that I need, or 20% bandwidth that I need to transmit my data, is now I can incorporate more data in that bandwidth. So now with 5G, what it does is, because they're moving up to higher frequencies, now it's going to allow us to use our cell phones to you know, download data faster, i.e. streaming movies faster and so forth, without that, you know, buffering that we might be experiencing now. So now that we're going up to higher frequencies, you know, there's some concern, because, you know, as we increase in frequency, you know, what you begin to realize is that when you increase in frequency, it now can increase the energy, the transmission energy can also increase, right? But also what you have to consider is this: when you go up higher in frequency, the what we call the path laws, or the transmission laws, begins to attenuate the signal faster, right? So now, because I'm going up in frequency, I can't transmit over as long distances, because it's going to attenuate the signal faster. So now what they're doing with 5G is that, unlike what they did with 4G, was that now with 5G, they're putting up more towers close together, because they need that to, you know, they need those towers to be able to support the infrastructure of all the cell phone users. And so that's why a lot of people are getting a little bit more concerned, because they're like, well, wait a minute, now there could be a small cell tower over, you know, on top of my apartment building. There could be a small cell phone tower on top of the building in which I work. There could be a small cell phone tower on top of, you know, places I frequent. So now people are beginning to get concerned, because now where we would see where, for example, like current cell phone towers, it wasn't placed as close together. Now they're beginning to they come to close together. However, it still goes to the fact that despite that happening, the power in which it's transmitted is still not enough to, you know, cause significant harm, or cause harm to your body, you know, because of this transmission, even though they're adding more what's called it. And again, the reason why they're adding more towers is just because, you the signal now will attenuate faster when it's being transmitted because it's at a higher frequency. And so, I think that's where a lot of people are starting to generate some concerns, because there's like, wait a minute, well, where before you might see a tower, I don't know, I can't remember what the exact distance between the different towers were, but, let's say if the, different distance between towers means maybe like one tower will cover, like let's say 30, 30 square miles or something like that. Well, now, because of the 5G now is going to decrease. And so instead of having one tower every 30 square miles, you might have, one tower every, 10 square miles or something like that. So now the population, the density of those cell phone towers are increasing. And I think that's one of the reasons why people are beginning to get concerned with that. But again, the transmission of those signals is not, is not, at least there's nothing to say that the power of those transmissions have or will cause effect to, to our bodies or anything like that.
Okay, all right. Doc, you got a question? Dr. Matt, got a question?
No, go ahead.
I got a question. Can I be heard pretty good?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yes.
Yep.
All right. Yeah. So those transmissions, the radiation is measured in gigahertz, right? Am I correct on that, Dr. Ryan?
I'm sorry. I just let you know, I'm going, if I delay my response, it's only because I'm unmuting myself. I'm going mute and unmute just to kind of keep down my background noise. But so when we talk about the gigahertz is the frequency in which it's transmission. I mean, it's the frequency in which the signal is moving. So when you think of gigahertz, think of how fast something is moving in terms of in 1 second, right? And so, and that's what a hertz is. A hertz is a per second. So basically, one revolution per second. So when you think of gigahertz, right, you're talking about 10 to the 9th, right? So 10 to the 9th, that's in, that's basically in millions, right? So you're talking about so in other words, it's moving a million times, or is completing a million cycles in 1 second. So that's what you want to think about when we talk about hertz. And then, so, for 5G, for example, it's going to be like, I don't know, let's say potentially up to like 26 gigahertz. So it means it's going to go 26 million. I'm sorry. 26 million. Yeah, no, I'm sorry. No, 26 billion. 26 billion times per cycles per second. So that's what that means.
Right.
So
my question really is about the amount of gigahertz the cell phone is using. Like, so your cell phone is using probably like between, like when they was doing 4G, I think the cell phone was using like 1 to 2 gigahertz, right?
That's correct. Yep.
Yeah, and so now when they move to 5G, it'll be using maybe like 70 gigahertz. I'm thinking somewhere like that at the most. That's what I'm gathering.
Yeah, that's correct. So potentially you can, when they talk about 5G, again, potentially it can go up to that high, right? But there's a lot to it when you go up that high, right? Because what happens is that, when you start to deal with frequencies at that higher of a level, right? You gotta realize that now we gotta make sure we developing components, circuit chips and so forth that can handle those frequencies. And so what happens, and I'm trying not to kind of dig too deep in the weeds, because this is something that you would typically learn over a course of a semester or 2 semesters. And I encourage everyone to just take a moment and even begin to like do some of your own reading when it comes to this. But so what happens?
Absolutely,
is
this, I understand you just giving a broad summary,
right.
But yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
No
worries. So when we're talking about things going up to 60 gigahertz and so forth, we also got to make sure that we have components that support that. And components, like I said, different circuit, amplifiers and different, circuit chips and so forth that got to support that. Because now what happens is this, the reason why RF becomes very interesting is this: it doesn't follow the way you evaluate circuits at that level. It doesn't follow tradition. Why is that? Because now, where before at like say for radios, for example, or radio wave, or like, you know, when we talk about like TV waves and things of that nature, you know, those components, you should see that those components was kind of big when it came to that. And the reason why they were big is because those frequencies, the wavelength of those frequencies was still pretty big. And so now when you're talking about 60 gigahertz, well, now in the course of 60 gigahertz, the wavelength becomes extremely small. And because it becomes extremely small, a circuit that may be longer than, or that may be 5, 10, 15 times longer than that wavelength is going to affect that wave significantly different, right? Because now it's going to have what they call a distributive property across that circuit. So what it means is that, yeah, it might, you know, going, you know, let's say 25% into that circuit, it may behave a certain way, but then as it continues to move along that circuit, the properties of that wave is going to change, because now it's going to be distributed. You're going to have more losses that's going to happen across that circuit. So when we talk about going up to those higher frequencies, we got to also talk about, you know, the components that need to support or be able to help transmit those type of frequencies. And that's that 60 gigahertz. I don't think that is something that is going to happen immediately during the rollout of 5G. I think initially they're going to start like around that 20, 25, 26 to 30 gigahertz bandwidth, frequency. But yes, ideally they're saying, hey, we can go up to 60 gigahertz. And I'm pretty sure that there's some companies out there and even some institutions out there that are working on that research so that they can properly model what will happen if the signal is transmitted across a circuit at that particular frequency. So that's just something that we also have to consider when it comes to designing equipment that supports 60 gigahertz.
Mm-hmm. And so like for you know, gigahertz, or for that amount of radio frequency to affect you, to affect the human body, you would have to have somewhere like 2.5 million gigahertz to where it starts to affect you on an atomic level, where it may displace a electron or something like that. Are you familiar with that at all?
So okay, yeah. So what you begin to talk about is now what they call what do I want to say, ionizing and non-ionizing waves. And so those are typically very high frequencies. You're talking about things like gamma rays and things of that nature. The frequencies that we're using, for our transmission are significantly below that. I'm talking about like, I think like an order of 1,000 times slower than that. So the frequency is not nearly as high. So that's something, that would be the case. So what will affect is at this level, and that's why I was mentioning, that, how I actually experienced it doing in the lab, working on some things. I've actually experienced RF frequency burn my skin. I actually felt the heat on my skin from a transmission. That's the frequency that we're kind of dealing with. Like, we don't, the energy at this particular level, at the frequencies that we're dealing with, they don't have enough. It's not enough energy to begin to, do damage to, like structures in your body. For example, like how X-ray is. Like, there's a reason why you don't take X-rays every time, you feel as though something is broken. Like, they're very careful, and when they do X-rays on your body, because X-rays can have a detrimental effect on your body. But those frequencies are significantly higher than what we're dealing with when it comes to cellular transmissions.
Thank you, brother. You answered my question pretty clearly.
Okay, I appreciate it. Thank you.
So, okay, I heard that. I heard the cell phone thing, so we kind of destroyed that myth about the cell phone. And there was a conversation dealing with radiation being released in maybe the 1916 or 1918 that might have caused a pandemic or something like that. I think the brother kind of alluded to that. I'm gonna stay away from that for a minute, but based off what you know, in your studies and your research, does these 5G or even radiation, could it remotely spur on any type of pandemic of biological organisms?
So that's a really good question. And so I think, like I said, I kind of looked at some of the some of the concerns that people have been sharing online and things of that nature. And I think one of the things that, and it kind of alludes to what you would mention, is that, hey, well, it appears that every time a pandemic happened, there has been some upgrade or some new technology that has kind of surfaced. And so I'm gonna be honest with you, I haven't done enough reading to really begin to say whether or not that's true or not. Like, I don't really, like, unfortunately, I'm not a historical buff where I know when all the pandemics happened and when certain technology was released. I will be honest with you, I'm just not a buff at that historically. So that would require me to do some more research and kind of begin to see if there's any correlation between that. So that's the first thing. So I'm not going to really kind of touch on that. One thing I do want to mention, and because I know that you're kind of, I know that, like, Brother Polite, for example, I know he had a interview recently that kind of talked about it. He did a presentation and things of that nature. And so, one of the things that, that I felt as though that he was trying to do, and again, I was just kind of listening as just a viewer, not to debunk what he was trying to say or not to prove that he was wrong. I was just kind of listening as a viewer, just to kind of see, okay, well, what is it that he is mentioning? And I felt as though, hey, he was putting together an argument of that it was possible. And so I will never dispute that, because literature, the research and so forth have shown that, hey, it is possible that we have harmful effects from radiation. However, like I said from the very beginning, there has never been anything that said, hey, it's been conclusive. So there's a difference, right? It's possible, but it's not conclusive, right? And so I think, if people want to kind of keep their eye on what's happening with this, I think that's a very fair approach, because right now it's still a lot of uncertainty around it, because there hasn't been anything to say, hey, there's absolutely no effects, but there's also hasn't been anything to say, hey, yeah, absolutely, there are some effects. So we're kind of like in a gray area to some extent. However, one of the things I would like to mention is that that when you talk about radio RF transmissions and so forth, that it has been that it's been classified as possibly a carcinogenic, right? So meaning that it's possibly causing cancer and so forth. But that's along with some other, it's grouped along with some other things that we are exposed to every day. So things like, I think like one thing that they talked about was like engine exhaust or something like that, right? We're exposed to engine exhaust every single day. Every time we drive a car and we're in the roads and stuff like that. So it was kind of like, it's grouped along those type of things. Now, just like, you wouldn't sit there and smell, gas exhaust all day, every day, but you have been exposed to it, maybe walking to the store or, just even crossing the parking lot, you can't avoid it. It's the same thing with these transmissions, right? But the amount of the exposure, that's where you will not have those type of effects. Like I said, the transmission of 5G, it just doesn't have the power. That transmission is just not high enough to begin to affect or cause those type of things. When you talk about this virus, this pandemic that we're having now, again, 5G is there is no cause for me. Like, I think the reason why people are kind of trying to relate the two is because, okay, China just recently began to release their 5G technology. I think it was like in November or October or something of that nature, where they began to activate their transmissions. And people saying, okay, well, it kind of overlaps. Well, when you look at the studies that people are doing when it comes to radiation, radiation or cell phone radiation, and there's links to people being ill. If you look at those transmissions, they're looking at people after use of cell phones over 10, 15 years, right? So it's not that they're not saying that it has immediate effect as soon as it becomes active. They're looking at the effects that it has over a certain period of time. And so if we're looking at, okay, well, 5G was released in November, and then coronavirus, beginning to spread in December, that, to me, that doesn't seem very likely, because nothing suggests that there is an immediate effect that transmissions have on the body. So again, that just doesn't appear to be likely, based on just historically what people have researched over the years when it comes to radiation or cell phone radiation and the effect on the body.
Yeah.
Dante.
Hey, can I add something real
hey,
quick?
hold on. Hey, that's Dr. Dante there. Anybody want to jump in? Let me say this real quick. So as far as the technology thing, Dr. Dante, we got, watch this. I'm going to take you back to a period where humans didn't have the technology and plagues were rampant. So let's go back to the plague of Justinian, 541 to 542. Let's go to smallpox, 1520. 56 million people died. Let's go back to the Black Death, bubonic plague, 1347 to 1351. Let's go to, let me see. The third plague, 1855. Let's go to, let me see. What's this? Antonian plague, 165 to 180. 17th century Great Plague, 1600. Asian flu, 1957. You could probably say that was some kind of technology. Pseudo wanted to play that game like that. So there's a lot of plagues for the last 300,000 years of human biological history that occurred before modern technology. So I agree. I ain't going for that. And I know, as a doctor, and I like your sharp and the way you speak on things. I love history. That's what I do. So I'm gonna let you know there's hundreds of plagues that predate any electronics. I want to add that.
I agree. Like I said, I don't think that there's, like I said, when people are looking at the effects of cell phone radiation or just radiation in general, if you look at, their, if you look at, their research they look at from a standpoint of people being exposed after years of being exposed to that radiation, nothing immediate. And so again, that lets us know that, that the concern is not really the immediate effects of the radiation. People are looking at what is the effects of radiation over time, and should that be a concern? And like I said, right now, there haven't been anything to conclusively say that yes, there is a concern. However, there haven't been. I would go on to say that you cannot completely rule it out. And if you really think about it, cell phone technology is still relatively young. It's not significant, right? We all lived at a point in time where there was no cell phone. You see what I'm saying? So we can agree that cell phone technology is still relatively new, right? And so that will become we'll have to look back when our grandkids are older or our great grandkids are older and begin to now have a significant amount of time in which we can evaluate what that technology has done over the years. But there, like I said, there hasn't been anything that would suggest that there have been a conclusive, effects of RF radiation or cell phone radiation in particular that has affected the body. There hasn't been anything that conclusively stated that. So,
Dr. Dante, Dr. Ryan.
Hey, how you doing, sir?
Brother Reggie, how are you?
I'm doing fantastic. How about you?
Great. Peace to the panel. So, can you address the waves of the sun being more detrimental? There are things in our environment that are way more detrimental to and radio frequencies, right? And we get radio frequencies into the earth by things that's happening in our universe that's able to penetrate the which comes in a very, very higher or more deadly frequency. But the issue is, I do understand the effects on low frequency fields, on things like cancer and cancer. But what is this thing with? Why would it affect viruses? That virus is a very particular. Yes.
First, so I'm sorry. I apologize if I cut you off. Were you finished? I'm sorry.
I'm basically the nature of a lot of people don't even understand what a virus is. A virus is simply a protein, and then a protein that takes over the cell, right? Human cell, any cell, right? And then it seems to replicate itself. This argument about viruses and places like where there are no 5G. Ecuador and some places in Africa, but we have the coronavirus, right? We have the coronavirus spreading in places where there is no 5G. So what I'm trying to gain is, what do you know about low frequency electromagnetic fields and viruses?
Okay. So you asked a couple of good questions. Some of it is, some of it I'm familiar with. It is kind of outside of my expertise. Others, I'll kind of address. So the first thing, when we talk about like the sun, right? The sun the waves from the sun are considered to be ultraviolet. So those are even higher frequencies in which we're dealing with when it comes to cell phone technology. So the ultraviolet waves are higher frequencies, and so that's when we begin to get into frequencies that can cause harm. And so that's what the sun, when you talk about sun waves and stuff like that, those are the ultraviolet waves. So that's the first thing. Now, I'm going to try my best to, kind of take pieces of what Brother Polite was saying and just kind of clarify some of the things that he was saying, because I think that's where people are saying that, hey, well, 5G causes viruses, and that, first of all, that's not what he was saying. So let's get that clear. He was not saying that. And then the second thing, when we talk about viruses, we're not saying that viruses are proteins. We're just simply, viruses are just infectious. Typically the word is they use typically like the word agent. And the reason why they call it agent is because, a virus can't survive by itself. It's going to latch onto a host, and then it's going to begin to mutate that host, and then live through that host, right? And so it's more considered to be an infectious agent. It's not necessarily, it's not a protein, but let's consider it to be an infectious agent that's going to take over some type of living organism in our body. So that could be cells and bacteria and so forth. And that's what, when I looked at Brother's Polite presentation, that's what he kind of talked about. But he mentioned something that I think kind of added some confusion to what it was, and it was talking about how, because I had a chance to kind of pull up the article that he mentioned. He was talking about as far as because he brought up an article from 1999, and when it talked about viral encephalitis, right? And so I think that's when people begin, and how glioma, which is like a tumor, how it mimics that particular illness, right? So he's saying, hey, it this tumor has the appearance, or begins to look like, or begins to, that's what, because literally the article says it mimics acute viral encephalitis. So that's literally what the article says. So it's not that it causes the virus, but he's saying that basically his links was saying, hey, that radiation has been linked to glioma, or that tumor, that's like the cancerous tumor in the brain. And then that glioma has been, in a 1999 article, it begins to talk about how that mimics a viral encephalitis. So in other words, it mimics what a virus looks like. And so it's not that it causes the virus, but he's saying that, hey, it has an appearance, or begins to mimic, it begins to look like what a virus of a particular virus, which is the encephalitis. And so now, again, this begins to get outside of what I was considered my expertise is, but I have, at least, I have comprehension ability to kind of read articles and begin to understand, okay, well, this is what they're saying, right? So it's not that 5G causes viruses. Let's get that out there. But however, what he was trying to pull out was that, hey, that in this initial study, which and I'm going back between the different things that he kind of used, and I'm just encouraging people to kind of take a look at this stuff. Just read it for yourself. That way you can draw your own conclusion, and then you don't have to necessarily rely on his interpretation, or better yet, misinterpret what he was trying to say. And that's what I want to try to avoid people from doing. So in the first article that he pulled up was, and again, anyone who has access to Google or anything like that, you guys can really pull this up. This was from Medical News Today, and what it mentions is that radio frequency waves possibly, all right, and this is in quotes, it says possibly carcinogenic to humans. And so if you Google that, then you'll see the Medical News Today article that you can click on. And this is one of the articles that he referenced, where it talks about in 2011, 30 international scientists and so forth. So, you can take a look at that. And so when you go to that, what he did was he took a part where it says the team concluded that based on studies of the highest quality, a causal interpretation between mobile phone RF and EMF exposure and glioma is possible. That's the part that I want to make sure that people understand, that it doesn't say that it's causing it. It's not concrete. It's just simply saying that it was possible. And so again, when I was watching his video, that's what he was saying. He wasn't saying that it was causing it, but he was just saying that, hey, it was possible. So that's the first thing. All right. And then so what he did from there was that he literally took that last piece, RF EMF exposure and glioma. He just took that, and if you kind of Google that, then it'll take you to the actual article that is presented. I got this article from I think it's bmj.com or something like that, and it's really it talks about high-grade glioma mimicking acute viral encephalitis. All right, and it says 3 case reports, and so there's an article that talks about that, where encephalitis is characterized by headache, confusions, altered consciousness, and seizures and fevers and stuff like that. All right, but more importantly, it was just saying that the symptoms mimic that. All right, so that's what he's saying. The symptoms of, encephalitis and the symptoms of what's happening with the coronavirus are very similar. And so again, like I say, I'm just kind of
blended. So we kind of blended it.
Right. So when people are bringing, since everyone is asking questions about it, that's the only reason why I'm referencing it. It's just that, since people are asking the relations, but again, it's not saying that it causes the coronavirus. That's not the case. You will not see that, but he's just trying to link the two to saying it's possible. Okay. I'm not going to dispute that because it clearly says that it's possible, but there's no, like I said, you got to go back to the fact that there's no conclusive, I will go back to the fact that there's nothing conclusive about it. In fact, I think the article just kind of mentions that, let me go back to it. It just kind of mentions that, it just said, in view of limited evidence in humans and experimental animals, the working group classified RF EMS as possibly carcinogenic to humans. And that's what I mentioned earlier before. Remember I said that, hey, a lot of these articles, you'll see people that are doing some of the research, but they haven't been able to make a definitive conclusion because, they might have limited evidence. And in this particular article, that's what it clearly states. In other words, that maybe the sample size may have been too small. Maybe they needed more, maybe more time in doing the evaluation, whatever it may be. I'm willing to bet that probably in this case here, their sample size just wasn't large enough. Right. And so, that's a big deal because I tell people, let's think of gambling. Let's take a look at gambling, right? And I grew up in Baltimore. I used to shoot dice all the time when I was younger. So, you might step up to a crap game and you might have a hot hand that particular day, right? You might be rolling, and you ain't crapping out not one time, but that's that one particular day. But if you play craps every single day over the course of like a month, you're surely going to lose more money than you win. Right, because just because of how the probability kind of stands. And so when things don't have a large enough sample, when you begin to extrapolate it over a larger sample, then you'll see, well, wait a minute, does this really stand? Does this really hold? And I'm willing to say that one of the reasons why they just said that it's possible is because it was just a smaller sample. They probably had a small sample size. And then if they were to stretch that out over, I don't know, let's say, over 100,000 of people, or whatever it may be, would that hold? And I don't know if that would necessarily hold. I'm not sure that they will see, that that the RF EMF exposure will have a link to glioma. So that's what, again, that's outside of my expertise, but just thinking just based on just the law of numbers and how if we did large numbers for a sample size instead of their smaller sample size, I'm willing to bet that it probably wouldn't stretch out that far. But I can't, but I'll be remiss if I try to say that, hey, just completely turn your eye blind to it and don't worry about it. I'm not going to say that. I am going to say just keep your eye on it. If it's something that is a concern to certain people, I'm going to encourage you to keep an eye on it. Continue to read the articles, continue to read the journal papers, and really begin to see, okay, you know, in 2021, 2022, has there been additional information that came out to suggest that, yeah, wait a minute, something is conclusive one way or the other. But right now, there hasn't been anything that has been conclusive enough to say that, one, cellular transmissions has caused harm to the body. It hasn't, and there's nothing to suggest that it has been that it has caused coronavirus to date.
So, okay, I got you. Let me add something real quick. You kind of talked about viruses a little bit, and I was kind of engaged with Brother Polite with viruses, and basically my understanding of viruses was they was really organic protein chains, basically. And so what I put up on the screen was because he asked, "What's a virus?" I said, "It's proteins." And everybody started howling and screaming, right? But let's see the makeup of a virus. You're right. It's actually a sub. They call it sub micro, right? Very small. So right here we got virus consists of a core of RNA, right? Ribonucleic acid. That's in the green. Okay. Now watch this. Enclosed in a capsoid. That's the actual name, right? Or a protein coat. Blue. See the blue? Protein coat. Now watch this. It says surrounded by a capsoid is a what? A glioprotein. Did I pronounce that right? There you go. Glycoprotein. Watch this. In pink and green. Look, there's your pink and that's your green, right? Okay, now watch this. Inserted in the envelope are surface proteins, orange spear. So basically, a virus is just that, a chain of proteins or proteins. That's what really technically a virus is. Even these little fillers right here, right? These are the things that actually stick to the cells and get replicated. It inserts itself in the cells and whatever cell it's in, this particular infectious microbe actually causes the cell, well, as the cell reproduces, actually reproduces the actual virus. So, you know, so I'm just used to people, you know, in certain circles saying that it's a protein, it's a chain of proteins. So, you know, I just wanted to add that to the conversation so people ain't think I was completely out of my mind. Really.
I also want to, Dr. Ryan. So, for example, encephalitis and the other ailment, how are they treated? Are they treated with antiviral drugs?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear what you said.
Okay, so bringing up encephalitis, right? And what was the other illness that mimics a virus? You said two. Encephalitis.
Oh yeah. So encephalitis. It was saying that glioma, which is the tumors. Glioma is a tumor, it's like a brain tumor.
Yes.
That it mimics that viral encephalitis. So the glioma is like a cancer.
And how's that?
You know what? To be honest with you, that's kind of outside of my my knowledge base. So I'm not really sure how glioma is treated. I would imagine that they probably have some type of. I would imagine it's probably not antiviral. I'm not sure about the encephalitis. Encephalitis may, because encephalitis is kind of like it's kind of I think it's, I don't know. That's a good question. I don't know how encephalitis is treated. We would have to.
Okay, so encephalitis is treated by antiviral drugs, and glioma is treated by radiation therapy. So, so we have a problem. We have a problem if something radio waves is causing viruses. All right, or this particular has maybe something to do with this particular type of virus. But then when you look at the treatment of these sicknesses, they come back to antiviral for encephalitis, and for glioma, the treatment is right now radiation therapy. So it's a catch kind of 22 for them because they don't want to talk. Maybe I don't know enough about what Brother Polite is saying, but I would always go to, okay, so how are these things treated with traditional medicine or medicine itself? And they come back to one, antiviral drugs for encephalitis, and for glioma, radiation therapy. And so these, do you see the rub there? Do you see the irony, right?
Yeah.
1 minute is pausing it, next minute is killing. So look, hold on, we're on a time restraint right here. I know we probably passed your time, Dr. Ryan, man. I don't want to.
Oh yeah, no, it's no problem. Yeah, it's not a problem. But yeah, but keep in mind that when we talk about radiation therapy, you know, it's very intentional as far as where they are sending that, where they're putting that probe, right? The probe is not just, you know, it's not, you know, something that's on the skin. They're very intentional and making, you know what I'm saying? It's very particular in where they're putting that probe to get that tumor. And then also, you know, depending on that power level. So just keep that in mind, you know, because I don't want people thinking that, you know, that radiation therapy is that the reason why radiation therapy is a problem, or typically when you see people going through like radiation therapy, the reason why it becomes an issue is because you know, the radiation, the power at which they send in that radiation, it's so much hotter than what our normal cells, a healthy cell, is typically accustomed to. So keep in mind that when we talk about radiation therapy, and the reason why I want to say this, because I don't want people thinking that, oh, well, radiation therapy and cell phone service is one and the same, because it's not the same. The power levels are significantly different, right? And not only that, but then how they are very intentional in putting the radiation therapy, they're very intentional on putting it where the tumor is. And so that power level is so intense that it's higher than what healthy cells are used to. So that's why when you see people go through radiation therapy, they look like they are, you know, they kind of are broken down before they kind of get built back up. And it's because in the process of killing that tumor, they got to kill some healthy cells in the process. And that's because that power level is one, because that probe is right there at the tumor. It's the power level is higher than what our normal cells are used to. And that's not what we're facing when it comes to cell phone usage, or even when it comes to the transmission of cell phones from the towers, because none of us are face to face with the cell phone towers where the most energy is being transmitted. We're not face to face with those, and so that's why we're not experiencing those type of power levels. And that's why that's one of the things I mentioned at the beginning. We're not being exposed to those type of power levels. By the time at the base station of the cell phone tower, by the time it begins to hit our cell phones, or even if it's on top of our building and it's passing through, you know, windows and stuff like that, it's being attenuated. So by the time it gets to us, the power level is lower than what it will be at that point when it transmit from the initial cell base station. So that's just something I just want to add.
You said attenuated. Could you define that term, please, for me?
Yeah. So attenuation. Attenuation is a common term that we use in when we're referencing signal transmissions, and that's because attenuation just simply means that you're decreasing the power, right? So think of attenuation and amplification. Think of those as opposites or antonyms. They're opposite of one another. You have amplification where you're growing something, and then attenuation is decreasing it. And so typically when it comes to when we talk about transmissions in general, and this could be transmission over the air, this could be transmissions over a cable, this could be transmissions over any type of medium that you're using to send a signal, you're going to have some type of attenuation. You're always going to have some loss associated with that signal. Now, typically in free space, that loss is going to be let me not say pretty significant, but the loss is going to be significant over free space. And there's an equation that is typically used for that, and that's called the Freeze equation. The Freeze is FRIIS equation, and it's just an equation that we typically use as a, you know, to get an idea, okay, well, what is the free space loss of a transmission? And you'll see how it relates frequency and power and all that stuff like that. So it's a relationship there where they formed an equation. And then there's other things that have built on that, because now, you know, when you have, you know, the transmission loss, and let's say in an open field, let's say, for example, if we lived in Idaho, where we have an open field, not many buildings and stuff like that, you have one association of loss. But then in Baltimore City or New York City or Philadelphia, where you have buildings and other things like that, then you add other things to it. You add things where you have reflections and multipath and all these other things that kind of begin to affect the signal. But again, the attenuation is still there. The attenuation, you know, as you're transmitting the signal, once that signal leaves, you know, from its initial transmitter, it's going to experience some type of loss. All right. And then typically our cell phones, we're going to have something like what's called a low noise amplifier. And that's going to allow the signal to be built back up or amplified, so that now our cell phones can begin to do some of the demodulation and signal processing that we need to decode the signal, so that we can get our pictures and our text messages and our voice, you know, our voice calls and so forth and so forth. So those are, you know, that's kind of like the part of the, you know, when we talk about transmissions or radiation, that's all part of it. You know, that's all part of that chain, that communication chain is, you know.
Right. So,
but
so watch this real quick, Doc. I didn't mean to cut you. So
yeah, no problem. No.
Attenuated, and when you said it means lesser, correct?
That's correct.
So,
yep. Yeah.
So
we're talking about loss.
Right. So see, so that's exactly what they do to a virus when they put it in a vaccine, and people don't even understand that. I just wanted to make sure we was on because they use that, you know what I'm saying, in biology too, for, you know, for that, for the pathogen that they're actually introducing, it's attenuated, right? It's not at full strength. So people think when I get this vaccine, they're going to give me the coronavirus or they're going to give me the flu. That's not the truth. You know so that's why.
Yeah, so that's a good point. Yeah, when you talk about vaccines, typically what they're doing, they're going to expose your body to a lesser form of it, just like you said, and it's just so that your body can build up. You know, our body has a way. You know, our body says, "So wait a minute, this is a foreign object. You know, in our body, we're going to attack it, right?" And so that's essentially what vaccines allows your body to do. It's going to expose your body to a small amount of the virus or whatever it may be, and then it's going to help your body build up this this army or this way of defeating it, right? And so, but you know, again, I'm not touching that because I know that there's people who are anti-vaxxers and things of that nature. And like I said, I mean, you know, I'm not here to convince people one way or the other. I'm more so just trying to expose people to, hey, you know, this is what it is, and then hopefully they can Google what I'm saying, and they can go into different links, and they can kind of, you know, validate what I'm saying based on what they're reading on there and so forth. So, but yeah, but you're absolutely right. Typically, that's how vaccines are. Vaccines is going to expose you to a smaller amount, and from there, it's going to allow your body to build up that, you know, to build up the defense necessary to defeat a full, you know, to fight the full virus. Now, the problem though is that, or not really the problem, but you know, some of the concerns is that, you know, viruses can mutate, they can change, right? And so what you may be, you know, used to, you know, one year, let's say in 2020, it may be something completely different in 2021 because it may be a different strain, a different mutation of it. And so, you know, sometimes, you know, some people, healthy people, our bodies, we don't necessarily need vaccines because our body's healthy enough to defeat it. Other people, i.e. elders, i.e., you know, small babies who bodies aren't as strong, you know, their body kind of need that, you know, hey, I need to go to the, you know, I need my cells to kind of go to the gym a little bit to work it out. And that's where the form of the vaccine kind of comes into play. It's kind of give them the ability to kind of work it out a little bit and build up that defense. Where again, something like, you know, like you and I, you know what I'm saying, our bodies are healthy, where we typically, you know, we can fight off a lot of different things, the traditional cold, traditional flu and things of that nature, where sometimes, you know, people need the flu vaccine because their immune system just isn't strong enough, you know. And so, and that may be due to a various amount of things. Maybe they don't eat properly, maybe they don't, you know, work out. There's a lot of things to that that's outside of my expertise, but you know, you know, people need the flu vaccine because their immune system just isn't strong enough. So, and that may be due to a variety of things. Maybe they don't.
I think I hear it in the background. But I just wanted to ask the Dr. Ryan a question. So I wanted to speak to that article you talked about earlier from the medical news today, because I had read that article before. I brought it up before.
Mm-hmm.
And so they talk in that article, they talk about how it's how that cell phone radiation is at a level 2B carcinogen. And so, you know, and you look at what's the type of things that's on a level 2B carcinogens, like coffee and breast implants. So, you know, these are just things that we use. And I mean, it goes all the way from, those are just two things I looked at, but it goes from A to Z. You know, it's got thousands of things that's at a level 2B. And I just wanted you to kind of touch on, because they talk about it's a possible, you know, this is when you're talking about 2B, you're talking about possible. And I just kind of wanted you to touch on how science talks, you know, how one scientist talks to another scientist versus, you know, the layman, because it's a difference between probable and possible. So I just wanted you kind of to speak to that, because the way some of these articles are written, you know, the lay may take it in a different way. So go ahead.
Yeah, no, that's a very good point. And that's why, if you notice, every time when I was referencing the article or anything else, I kept saying that that it was possible. And to me, when I see something that's possible, again, I'm not going to completely write it off, but again, I am, I'm just going to say, what's the likelihood of it, right? In other words, it's possible. Like, I fly a lot, I travel quite a bit, and it's very possible that I could be in an airplane accident. But what's the likelihood of it? To me, it's not likely. It's not that likely where I won't fly again. Does that make sense? Like, you know what I mean? So that's if I was kind of putting it in layman's terms, that would be my that would be my my analogy that I'll put in there. It's possible that when I get in my car, I can get in a bad accident, right? But what's the likelihood? Well, I've been driving, over 22 years, right? And so, I've been doing pretty good. My chances are I'm going to drive again tomorrow. You know what I mean? And so that's what I would say. It's possible, but the likelihood of it isn't that high, right? And so, and when you speak about probable, again, what I always like to say when it comes to when you come to some of this research is this. One, I'm looking at the how conclusive is the evidence, or how conclusive is the research. That's the first thing. And then when we talk about the likelihood, when we talk about something probable, what's the probability? It's probable that I could win the I could win the lottery, right? But it's not very likely, because it's just the chances of it is just not very high, right? So so when you talk about that's how I just kind of look at it. Now, obviously, probable is more, the probability is more in favor than something being possibly. And I'm hearing some background noise, so I don't know who that is. But
who's that in the background? Y'all gotta mute y'all thing up. Go ahead.
But again, but you're right. Typically, when you're talking about something being probable, that means the chances are higher than something being possible. But again, if something is possible, I'm not going to tell someone not to keep their eye on it because the probability isn't that much, but I don't want people to go out there and think that because it says that, hey, it's possible, that I need to walk around with a tin hat on my head to protect myself from radiation. That's I wasn't saying it to be joking, but I'm just saying, like, I don't want people to feel as though they have to, change their, completely change their daily routines in fear of 5G, causing some type of illness, because that's not what's going to happen.
All right,
what it is worth is saying, hey, now that we know that's possible, okay, well, you know what? Every year I might just kind of do a literature search on what's the new research out there now. Is there anything that's either adding to the probability or decreasing the probability? So that's what I would do with something that's saying that, hey, it's possible. Just going to kind of keep my eye on it. I'm going to kind of look at what's happening in that area. What's that research now saying? So that's what I would do. And that's what I would encourage people to do. Not kind of think, oh, possible mean that it's going to happen. That's not what it's saying. It's just saying that, hey, it's possible, but it's not. But it's also not saying that it's likely. And so when we mentioned, you know, that particular article, it does say that it's a possible carcinogenic. Yep.
That's well, okay. We got that point. So I want to take. Let me make one quick statement. This show we actually promote vaccines, doctor.
Yep.
Promote that for a healthy community. Now, as far as that, it doesn't matter how strong we think our immune system is. I think as we look at the world we live in, this is what the world would look like without a vaccine. We're looking at it. So no matter how strong your immune, or no matter how young, how old, you got young people dying from this coronavirus. You got older people are hit more harder based off of the depletion of their immune system. But just because your immune system is strong, your immune system is not a force field. So you literally have to take on a pathogen, and you have to go through the fever, right? And you and hopefully you come out on the other side. The younger you are. Well, watch this. The pandemic of 1918, it actually attacked young people.
Yep.
Yeah, young people die more often than older people. Yep, I'm saying that H1N1. So it's thing is we want to have a vaccine because we call it a vaccine preventable disease.
Right.
No matter,
yeah. So
that's why infants are actually vaccinated, not because they're younger and stronger, but because they have found out that there are vaccine preventable diseases. But I just wanted to make that statement. I didn't want to.
Oh yeah, no. I mean, like I said, I'm not. Like I said, I wasn't suggesting one way or the other when it comes to vaccines.
Right.
What I'm saying is that, what was the purpose of vaccines? Why were vaccines? Why were they created? Again, it's just kind of giving your body just a little, kind of a little bit of exposure of what the virus may be, and then kind of help your body develop, the defense necessary to defeat, the virus. But keep in mind also, that even with some vaccines, right? With some vaccines, your body can still, even vaccines are not 100%. Like you still want to make sure that you're practicing, other healthy habits.
Oh yeah,
whether
that's
it's
facts.
Right. So that's something that we need to make sure that people are aware of too. That even if you get the vaccine, it doesn't mean that you're completely immune to it. Like it's not going to happen. It just means that hey, now it's going to help your body be a little bit more build up its defense against it. But you still want to practice, eating healthy and practice good hygiene and things of that nature. All that goes along with just minimizing your ability to be exposed to it, but also giving your body the ability to defeat it if you are exposed to it. So
you're right. So Dr. Ron, I know I don't want to keep you now. I think you've been on over an hour, way more longer than you actually signed up for. So I don't want to abuse that privilege. I kind of appreciate Dr. Oya Mayat bringing you through here. We have one. Can you take one last question from the chat?
Yeah, no problem. Yeah,
right. Because I don't want to disrespect your time. And
I appreciate it.
All right, hold on. It was talking about the atmosphere. Do you think? Let me find that question. Hold on. I think it had something to do with. Do you think cell phone towers could actually affect the ozone layer? I think it had something to do. Hold on. Let me look right here. Wait. Yes.
Dr. Ryan, this what I think we need clarity on.
Okay.
It's more of the it's more what Polite is presenting to this community that's uninformed in a situation where we have a pandemic, right? He's presenting an alternative, right, to basically confusing people. Like it's not even, and I think it's done deliberately. It's not that whether something is possible or plausible, if it have any, whether the research, I guarantee you he just looked this stuff up. So it ain't even like it's a a well thought out, he's seen something that he could go at the community with, and he presented it in the middle of a pandemic. Like, I think that's kind of where we was at with it.
Okay, so and I think when I talked to Unc, I think what was like 2 days ago we talked Unc when Doc called me initially.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So this is what I told Unc, and this is how I honestly feel about it, right? You know, I think, you know, with our community, when we think about some of the things that, and I keep hearing some background noise. I don't know if you guys can hear me.
Yeah,
okay?
I got it. I muted it out. Go ahead.
Okay. You know, but within our community, what we got to realize is that our community has been, you know, the government, you know, they have over centuries, right? You know, they have, you know, treated our community in a way that wasn't up and up. They didn't, you know, they've done, you know, various things to our community that has introduced a lot of us not trusting some of the things that the government is doing. I think that's the first thing. I think we can all kind of agree with that.
Yeah,
you know, through history, that, right? Things have happened in our community that, you know, we're not so quick to trust the community. I mean, trust the government, right? And so I think, you know, with that, you know, Brother Polite and a lot of people that may, you know, listen to, you know, some of the things that he may present, I think that's their mindset, right? And so, and that's fair. That's the first thing. So what I don't think, when I looked at his presentation, I looked at the webinar and stuff like that, I didn't take it as if he was trying to necessarily force people to believe that there was a direct correlation. I did take it as that he's saying, hey, well, wait a minute, it's possible. And I'm okay with that. Like I said, I'm not trying to, I wouldn't necessarily dispute him over the fact that he's saying that it's possible. However, if I was presenting the information, one of the things that I would have repeatedly done, and which I've repeatedly done here, was that, hey, you know, I encourage you all to take a look. You know, everyone has, you know, a cell phone or, you know, a computer, whatever it may be. I encourage everyone to just take a moment and just kind of dive through this stuff. This is not something that you're going to learn in one day. You're not going to learn it in 2 or 3 days. You're not even going to learn it in a month. You may be able to increase your familiarity with it, but it's going to require you to always revisit the information and make sure that, hey, is there anything new out there? Is there anything perhaps I missed? Is there anything that may, you know, prove contrary to what I may believe, you know? And so, like I told Unc a couple of days ago, is that, well, wait a minute, I know that people were, you know, kind of saying some things about 5G and its concerns and stuff like that. And I wasn't very, I wasn't completely abreast of what people were saying. I knew that there were certain things that people were saying that I felt as though, hey, the likelihood of that happening just wasn't very likely. But again, I'm not going to dismiss people because they feel as though they kind of feel that way. What I would just encourage, you know, people that listen to Brother Polite and other people that are you know, kind of saying, hey, you know, that this is possible. I would just encourage you just to kind of, you know, use the sources. Like, the great thing about it is that when he did his presentation, he presented sources, and literally every source that he presented, you could type it up in Google or DuckDuckGo, whatever, you know, whatever your search engine is, and it will pop up. Like, literally, that's all I did. I just kind of took what he pulled it for his sources, and I just Googled it, and I was able to read some of the sources that he was saying, and I understand what he was just trying to leverage it on. He was just leveraging on the fact that, hey, they are saying that it's possible. I don't think that it's like I said, my delivery of it may have been slightly different, only because I don't want people to think that, you know, I don't want people to think that I'm trying to mislead them. I want people to feel as though, hey, this is the information I'm using. Go ahead and take a look at it. See if you can draw that same interpretation to what I'm saying. And I think that's what he was trying to say. I wish he would have maybe kind of stated it enough, because he does have a pretty good following that, you know, that some people are not going to do the additional research, right? They're just going to kind of take what he says for face value. And I don't think he necessarily means it that way. But on the same token, I think he if I was him, I would have presented it a little bit differently, meaning that, hey, I would have probably, you know, throughout the presentation, encouraged people, hey, you know, please take a moment to look at this. Send your questions. Maybe I'm thinking of something, because I always like to ask myself, like when I'm working on things, I always like to get multiple people to take a look at it, because maybe I'm missing something. Maybe the conclusion that I'm drawing, maybe I'm missing some data, or maybe I misinterpret some data that that when other people look at it, they're not interpreting it that way. And so that's why I like to have multiple people take a look at what I'm saying, because maybe they say, well, wait a minute, Dr. Ryan, you know what? Yeah, you mentioned ABC, but I didn't really get ABC out of it. I kind of got, DEF. And this is why I got DEF out of it. And then you can have a intelligent conversation about it, and then, bounce questions off each other and stuff like that. And then eventually you'll get to the bottom line. Okay, well, yeah, now I think we can begin to form some type of agreement onto what's taking place. So that's just how I would have liked to present the information. Like I said, when I looked at his presentation, I didn't take it that he was saying that it was definite a cause. I think he was saying, hey, these things are linking, and it's worth, kind of tracking and taking a look at. That's kind of what I took out of it. But someone else who looked at it, they could have definitely got, that, oh no, he's saying that, that there was a link. And then other people could have taken it, well, no, I don't think he was saying that it was a link. I think that because I know at least one particular time he just said that, hey, that it's a possibility and that it's plausible. Okay, I wouldn't have used plausible. I think plausible may have been a little bit too strong, right? But that's just me. Like I said, I'm not, But again, everything that he presented on that call, everything that he presented, notice that he had the cell phone, so everyone can kind of see what he was showing. Just take a look at what he was pulling up, and just do your due diligence, and then that way you can make a decision based on what you read, using the sources that he used. And then also you may, in addition, find additional sources that maybe he didn't use, right? And then from there, you can even form a even better interpretation of what it really means. And so maybe if you're on the fence, of saying, well, wait a minute, maybe there is some relation, as you continue to do more and more research, you might realize, oh, you know what? I don't think there's a cause. Or I think even if there is a relationship, the probability of the relationship is unlikely. Or maybe you might find something to prove otherwise. But so far, I'm gonna be clear. I'm on the side that it's that it's one, it's not the cause. 5G is not the cause of coronavirus. 5G is not going to be a detriment to overall health. That's the side I'm on currently, and that's just based on my understanding of transmissions and frequency transmissions, and how the technology is working. So that's what I'm basing it on.
Okay,
Dr. Ryan.
Whoa. Hey, we gotta let him go. We can't.
No,
it's fine.
Yeah, check it out. And I agree with you. Let me restate that. He never said that it was the cause of the coronavirus. He said that these new technologies and radio waves and he said all of that, he said they cause the virus-like symptoms. So basically, what we think is the coronavirus, right, is actually these technologies that's causing human beings to have these symptoms. That's what he was saying. He wasn't saying that it caused it. I listened to it. He wasn't saying it was he said basically what we're doing is misdiagnosing this as the coronavirus, when in most cases he was saying that's why he went back to China, right? Rolling out their 5G. He went through the whole litany of back to 1918 when the radio waves and all of this World War I. Then he went to the 1960s with the radar and boom, boom, and then another virus popped out. He was clear in what he was saying. It was, you know what I mean?
Right.
So that's what I'm saying. Like, we got to be clear in what he was actually saying, what he was actually putting forth. Like, we still arguing over whether it causes the coronavirus. And like you said, when you first got on, he wasn't even saying that.
Right.
Right. He was saying basically his whole thing that video, he was showing that these new technologies, like he was saying it, every time that they're presented or rolled out, right, in China, right, a virus breaks out. And he was saying basically that's why he said now we about to roll those 5G out in the United States now, right? And he's saying New York is putting up these towers. Now all of these people are having these virus-like symptoms. So he was basically saying that these new technologies is causing these virus-like symptoms that we're saying is the coronavirus. He was saying the coronavirus is real. He never said that the coronavirus wasn't real. He was saying that we don't know whether it's the coronavirus or these new technologies that's causing these symptoms. That's exactly what he was saying. That's what I got.
Right. Yeah, and again, I would like I said, I would say that that the technology, the rollout of these technologies, they're not causing they're not causing people to have fever and things of that nature, headaches and stuff like that. Now, however, if you are sitting on your cell phone all day and you're looking at videos and everything like that, well, that would naturally cause you a headache, right? I mean, there's certain. So in other words, I think there are certain things that we're just doing because the technology, because of our use and how we use the technology, right? For example, because of cell phones and now let's say because kids are using iPads and stuff like that, well, kids are obese. Well, it's not that the cell phone technology is causing kids to be obese. It's just that the fact that they're spending more time on the screen versus playing outside and playing and all that stuff that we used to do when we were younger. That's why they're getting obese, right? And so, so I mean, that's something, again, we got to realize that it's not the technology itself that's causing the issues, but it's just because of how we have changed our habits because of the creation of this technology. Like before, you would see kids all the time riding bikes. I can't remember the last time I seen a kid really ride a bike. You know what I mean? You would see kids, playing kickball and baseball on the street. I don't really see that too much. And so, but I do see a lot of kids everywhere I go on YouTube, playing on their phones, doing different things and stuff like that. So we got to understand that's more so how the technology is affecting us, not the transmissions and things of that nature. It's just because of how our daily habits have changed with the invention of these new technologies that are they're just changing our daily habits, and that has an overall effect on what we're doing. It's no different than when McDonald's start to pop up everywhere, right? And we start to see obesity increase. Well, more and more people started to eat out versus fixing a meal at home and things of that nature. And so as a result, we're starting to see those type of things. So it's a lot. Like I said, I'm encouraging all viewers, regardless of what side you are on this, is just if it is a concern of yours, I would just encourage you to continue to just do your due diligence. And do your research, and ask questions. That's really the best thing that you can do. If you don't know something, that's perfectly okay. You want to ask the questions, and then and people that you're listening to and you're following, ask them clarifying questions as well, and allow them to articulate, what it is that they were trying to say. Because maybe when they initially said something on the surface, it got misinterpreted, and so instead of taking the misinterpretation, I would just kind of ask for clarity. And, that way we kind of get a better understanding. And then once we kind of get to the foundation, then now we can have, some conversations about, okay, well, which side is what, and that's what I would encourage. But I agree with you. I think, his presentation that he provided, I understand that some people probably took away. I didn't, like I said, I didn't take the conclusion I got from what he was saying. I didn't take it as him being deliberately misleading or anything like that. I felt as though, hey, he was just trying to say, hey, based on some of the things I've read so far and some of the studies I've done so far, this is what I've been able to find. And like I say, he provided his sources. I would encourage everyone to take a look at his sources and read through the sources yourself and get an idea, okay. And then now, and I think this is one of the things that he was kind of mentioning too, was that, he wanted, he's just kind of putting it out there. He's saying, hey, there's a possibility. Like I said, I'm still leaning as I don't think that there's I don't think there's a link to radio transmissions and the symptoms being caused. I don't think there's a link there. I don't think there's a link to some of that stuff. I don't think that the research is conclusive enough. You know, so for me, I wouldn't necessarily be worried. But again,
you know what, Doc? My fault. Go ahead. I didn't mean to cut your wisdom. Go ahead.
No. I was just saying that, you know, just based off of, you know, but again, you know, I'm pretty sure if we asked, you know, 100 different people who may have watched his presentation, we probably could have gotten, you know, various viewpoints on what people felt as though was the takeaway. But I think the most important takeaway, and what I would like to encourage, you know, anytime that we're putting information out there, I will always encourage people that are listening to just say, hey, do your due diligence. You know, just because I have a PhD in engineering doesn't mean that I know everything, right? That doesn't, so when, if you know, something I may have said you could have interpreted it the wrong way, or maybe I stated it a different way that maybe, you know, that way you received it differently. So I would encourage you to, even everything I've said on this show, please, I encourage people to take a look at it, you know, do your due diligence, and, you know, and see if there was anything, you know, misleading in what I said. And, you know, I try to, and I like to approach that because I realized that with my PhD, I realized I have a responsibility to people to not lead them one way or the other. I just want to present, you know, I just want to present facts out there, or present data that's available. And like I said, you know, because data can be interpreted different ways, and that's a fact. People, you can take data, you can interpret data different ways, and you know, and that's why I'm really big on, you know, hey, you know, this is kind of what I came up with. What do you think? I'm really big on that because I feel as though sometimes people give it a different perspective, you know, something I wasn't thinking about. And so, but I would encourage students, like I said, anybody who saw his presentation, take a moment and kind of Google the sources. And, you know, I would Google the sources from the perspective of how can I, you know, not necessarily trying to prove or disprove, but just to gain the information for yourself. And then you can kind of come up with your own interpretation of what that means. Yeah, and that's kind of how I would approach it.
Okay. So, all right, that was a good question right there, Sheffrin. And I just like to add basically that if, for instance, it was the radiation in 1990, and it was the cell phone towers and 5G in 2020, then what in the world is everybody running around trying to develop a vaccine for?
Right.
So for me, it don't even come close, Doc. Like I'm sitting here saying, are they playing a game then? Then I have to get into the deep rabbit hole conspiracy. So they're running around for the vaccine companies to make money when it's not even a good investment investing in vaccines. So much so that about maybe 8 years ago, Peter Hotez, he was trying to make vaccines for the coronaviruses. He was ahead of schedule and the money dried up because there was no need for it. The same with the Ebola outbreak. We had that first Ebola outbreak a few years ago, and I think the last one was in 2017 or 2016, right? They knew what it was sitting on the shelf, right? There's no money in vaccines. So just like when this is over with and everybody is back to normal and they develop a vaccine, you know what I'm saying? They're not going to be prepared for the next one because history clearly shows us that when human beings get comfortable, there will always be a pathogen that will come through and ravage this. So for me, you know, doing what I do and teach what I teach, when you start to say that these symptoms could be linked to that, but that has absolutely nothing to do with the fact that we're in a pandemic right now. And I think that's what Sheffrin was saying, and that's what I'm saying, that possible there might be some types of side effects from 5G, but not having anything to do with the pandemics that has occurred in human history. I just wanted to add that. I don't want to be long with that, Doc.
No, that's fine.
Yeah, I just want to make for the listening audience so they know what my stance is. So I'm clear that has nothing to do with this pandemic and what we're going through and why we got to stay in the house and wear those masks and wear those gloves and out of work. You know what I'm saying? 60 million people on unemployment. That ain't got nothing to do with self, not even close. And really, I'm appalled that he would even bring that up in this time of need for us. I just need to say what I gotta say. So, hey, look, I'm feeling like I'm holding you hostage now, Doc. Seriously.
Nah, it's cool. Listen, like I said, I appreciate you even having me on the show today. I greatly appreciate it, and hopefully I added some value,
really did.
to the discussion.
Really
But
did.
nah, like I said, just for all the listeners, I would just encourage you all, regardless of how you feel one way or the other, just make sure you're doing your due diligence. That's where
there you go.
When that's the most important thing.
Absolutely.
If somebody brings something to your attention and it begins to have you thinking and kind of raising questions, then that's when you really should begin to do your due diligence. And that's very important. And I agree with you. I think, I don't think there's any connection between 5G and what's happening with the coronavirus. And I think I said that earlier. I don't think there's any connection. There's nothing that have been conclusively stated that there's some type of connection. But again, I'm not, if people are concerned about it, then I'm going to encourage you that if you're concerned, your concern should at least lead you to do your due diligence. And if your concern is not allowing you to lead your due diligence, then you're really not that concerned.
Facts. Well, look, I appreciate you being with us, Dr. Dante. I hope this is not the first time you grace our great platform. This was a great interview, and the expert has spoken. Do your due diligence. Yeah, do your due diligence. The message is clear. Don't sit around and just listen to other people. See, he said, go out and do your due diligence. And he gave an honest and fair critique of Brother's Polite's presentation from his expert standpoint of view. Let's not let that slide on by, right? So appreciate you, Doc. You know what I'm saying? I don't know where Dr. Mayada is. I don't know where she's at.
Yeah, she kind of muted herself, but
put herself out, right? But yeah, thank you for coming through. We're gonna finish our little thing right here, right? Really, man, I appreciate you coming through, Doc, and it's been a humbling experience listening to the expert. And I think this is the level that we try to get people to subscribe to. The younger listeners, go to school, man. Okay? Support Dr. Dante and his programs that are in Baltimore City. Right? Do that, and let's strive for excellence. Okay? Between Dr. Miyat and you, Doc, man, that's excellence right there. And I'd just like to say thank you, right, for giving our community excellence at a high degree.
I appreciate it. No, thank you. Appreciate it. And please, like I said, I love the platform. Thank you for having it. And I just appreciate it. Thank you. It's been an honor to be able to be on the show this evening. So thank you.
All right, brother. Peace.
All right, peace.
Peace.
All right, so okay, there we go. Where you at, Uncle Jay?
I'm right here.
How you doing, man?
I'm trying to make it. Did you? The doctor didn't. He did say it, but he didn't say it in a way that I think everybody may have got it. But you were saying initially, you were saying definitely that the vaccination does not give the person the pathogen or the disease, even if it's alive or dead. And homeboy just said you got to be brushed by the wings in order to build up an immunity to it. So yes, you are given that pathogen, but supposedly it's either in a dead state or it's in a state alive vaccine. They're live and dead vaccines, but you are giving the person that disease. Now, out of 1,000 people, like I said, maybe 100 people might die. So 900 will live. So that might be a good idea. I ain't got a problem with it. You know what I mean? But I'm asking you, did you hear him say that, yes, they do give it to you?
I'm telling you that.
No, I didn't ask you. Nope. What I asked you was the doctor that just came on, the authoritative figure. Did he?
No, he wasn't an authoritative figure on vaccines. Stop it.
No. I didn't say about vaccines.
Right. So that's a vaccine question.
No. It's not a vaccine question.
Yes, it is.
Well, okay, but before you put them on, what you said was this: that they do not give you the disease.
They don't give you disease. What the world is wrong with you? I know you're my uncle. I love you to death, but they don't give you the.
If they give you the pathogen, they have to give you the pathogen, whether it's dead or alive.
He said it's antidote. Come on, man.
But okay, again, he's
what
not
is
the
it
authority,
that?
So let's not go back then. Let's not go back to him as an authority.
Not on that subject, man. He didn't.
Oh, then again,
When you asked him, he said
You actually
yes.
think they gave people Ebola?
Did you hear? No, that's what I'm saying. No, before we go there, let's say
you actually think they gave people Ebola? You actually think they give people the flu? Is that what you stating right here, right now? I know you can't be serious.
We were saying the vaccine. You said the vaccine did not contain the pathogen, did not contain the disease. Did you or did you not?
Man, we use the word. What's the word, Uncle Jerry?
But I'm just asking you, did you or did you not?
What's the word? What's the word we use?
What word? What you mean?
What's the word we used?
I'm just telling you what you said before the doctor came on.
It was a word. What's the word? You was here listening. I'm gonna see if you know what the word is.
Okay, no, I don't know what the word is. What's the word?
Basically give you a dysfunctional virus, man. Like, come on, man. It's not even, it's not functioning properly. It's not that. It's not the thing. It's not that. And people mix it up all the time.
So it's a dysfunctional virus, but it's not
absolutely.
The virus.
It's not the actual thing. That's the point.
I think it's like the antigens. The virus leave behind antigens, and then that's kind of like what they use to base the vaccines on.
Yeah, and antibodies.
Nah, man, that ain't it, man.
And antigen is a little bit different than the antibody. The antibody is what's fighting off the antigen.
Right. Well, okay. The antibody is what's fighting the disease itself, that fights the pathogen. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. So it's fighting the disease itself. That's the antibodies. The antigen you're saying is something different than what's fighting off the.
This is some of the trace. This is the trace evidence that's left behind by the actual virus.
Okay.
So when they like if you have the flu, how they test you, they can look in your blood and see if they can give you a blood test. They don't test normally, they give you a swab up your nose, but they could give you a blood test too. In this blood test, they'll look in there and see if you have the antigens in there that the virus left behind.
Okay.
And so that's
and
like
the antibodies fight the antigens. Is that what you're saying?
So this is a lesser form. It's a lesser form of that virus. You know what I'm saying? It's broken down. It's already broken down.
Man, like why not just let you catch it naturally if that's what they give you? This is crazy.
I understand.
Oh my God.
It's a lesser form, but it's still the virus.
What do you mean a lesser form?
The gentleman just said it was a lesser form.
Man, the gentleman,
that's all I'm saying.
Is not a biologist.
I'm just telling you what he said. No, I'm just telling you what he said.
No, I'm saying
we all have our biases. Understand that, and as long as you understand that you have a bias, then you can always take time to listen to what someone else says. You don't just
don't listen to me on that. I'm not even close to a biologist or nothing like that.
I wasn't talking about you, Chef. I wasn't talking about you.
But the only thing,
I'm talking to the brother. I know what you're saying. I'm talking to the brother.
The only thing I was saying was, did the doctor not say that you have to get part of the disease in order for it?
He specialized.
His
specialty is in electrical engineering. He got a PhD in electrical engineering.
I understand that,
man.
But that doesn't negate.
He's just like us. He's the same thing. As far as talking about vaccines and viruses, you might as well be asking me or Brother Unc about that. You know what I'm saying?
Right. But it didn't negate what he said. That's the only thing I'm saying. It did not negate what the doctor said.
No, I'm not. No, I didn't say it.
So I'm saying because of biases, we always.
I'm not even saying he was wrong or nothing like that, though. He probably was totally right. I don't know.
Whether it's dysfunctional, haphazard, part-time, or whatever, it's still that same pathogen. It's still that same pathogen, the same disease.
I'm looking for. I'm gonna pull up something for you. I ain't gonna talk. I'm gonna let you keep talking yourself.
Okay.
I'm gonna get you for this one. Hold on. That's why I ain't saying much. Let me find my source for you.
Oh no, you said much. Go ahead.
No. I'm a lead with a source on this one. This is important. You can't get this mixed up. Because you'll lead a person to believe that they give you the H1N1 and a daggone vaccine and you don't catch the flu. Because that's why everybody took that immediately. Take it right there. Right or wrong? Do they give you the flu and the vaccine, the flu vaccine?
They give you part of the pathogen, yes, because they have to determine.
Give you the flu.
They
That's
have
the
to
real
determine.
question.
They have to determine what virus they're fighting.
No. Do they actually give you? Do you get the flu from the flu shot? That's the point.
Yes, there are people who get the flu from the flu shot. Yes.
You made that up. Source up
Okay.
and shut up, Unc. Come on,
Okay.
man.
Oh, hold on.
Okay.
The hell are we
All
even
right.
arguing about, man? I don't fell asleep and got to fighting with pseudos in the chat. The hell y'all got going on, man? I could have swore that we went over this like multiple times in the past. It's not the full-blown virus that they're putting in the vaccine.
No, we know it's not the full-blown virus. That would be stupid. That would be ridiculous. That wouldn't even be called
Okay,
a
then so what are
vaccine.
you arguing about?
What
then?
I'm saying is that it like Ankh said, either it's a dysfunctional or it's a lower form, but it's still a virus that they're putting in your body for your body to start fighting
if it
against.
can't do what the virus normally does, is it still the virus?
Yes, it's still a virus.
Well, it can't do what the virus does. It can't infect your cells. It can't replicate.
Facts.
I'm hitting you with layman's common sense so the chat can understand.
A dead virus may not, but a live virus can. And they have vaccines that are live and dead. That's the only thing I'm saying.
So the one that they're putting in the vaccines, it can't do the same thing.
They're putting something in the vaccine that's to fight a certain virus.
Because it can't do what a virus does. It attaches to your cells and try to replicate.
Part of that virus's DNA or genome or whatever is part of the vaccine.
I think you might want to concede this point, sir.
Well, it's conceded. I don't know. I'm just saying. I mean, it's not even a matter of conceding. I'm just saying if you look up vaccines and see whether or not they use live or dead pathogens in the vaccine, I'm saying you're still getting that virus.
You're getting something that looks like it, man. That's why your body reacts to it. If it's not the actual thing, goodness gracious, man, that'd be crazy as hell. You had to go all the way back to the polio vaccine, where that thing actually mutated, but that was rare, and they don't even sell them in the United States.
Okay.
You can't.
If you want to say it's something like it or looks like it, or okay. All right.
I mean, come on.
I'm not gonna argue the point.
You did.
But are you looking up? You said you looking up something. You looking up vaccines?
I'm trying to find the actual source.
Okay.
Hold on.
Okay.
All right. Continuated. Hold on.
And did we lose Dr. Mayada? I was hoping that she would speak for a little bit.
I don't know what she had. She's done.
But for those people that been, ignorant and apparently super slow in the chat, I've been dropping links the entire time that dude was talking. That some people were kind of questioning his credentials. And it took me 5 seconds to type his name in. And Dr. Mayad already said that he was from Baltimore. So his name came right up. And I posted it in the chat multiple times, including this institute, for those people that may want to be interested.
Yeah, I mean, who cares? I mean, I wouldn't even bring it up. Like, they're just, some people just, it's the peanut gallery at times, man. Like, really?
That's fine.
Like,
you can only keep playing dumb for so long. Because I'm going to call you out.
Yeah, it's just funny to me, man. Like,
I'm going to get you.
All right, here you go, Uncle Jerry.
Okay.
Attenuated vaccine. Okay, hold on. I just want to actually show this. Let's get it straight. I don't want to talk about nothing these days. I want to make sure that everything we have is crystal clear. This is what we need. We need crystal clearness in these times. Yep, enough of that. All right, let me do this. Boom. Okay. Do a definition. Just give you an image. All right. Yeah, that's the realm where they kind of play that game. Where they're gonna give it to you, gonna get it. Nah, don't do it. Don't do it. All right. Attenuated vaccine. So, all right. Okay, so basically, all right, I'll show you all the daggone. So it's basically, they actually grow the virus in a different environment, Uncle Jerry. Right? Say like in eggs and stuff like that, and then growing it in a different environment, it causes it to mutate and weakens the daggone virus. That's one thing. Let's get that straight. So it's not in this normal ecosystem. Okay? And not being in this normal ecosystem, being grown in another environment, in a culture, you know what I'm saying, or in another environment thing, it actually causes the daggone thing to be not like it originally was. So the mistake is that people make, they make you think that they actually giving you that. They're not giving you that. They're giving you a phony version of it. What we call it, they give you a fugazi. You know what I'm saying? It's really fugazi. Like say somebody is selling you
it's called synthetic. It's a synthetic version.
No, that's a little different, I believe. No, they're working on that right now. Structural biology is actually working on actually making an actual synthetic virus. And if they can do that, that'll be perfect. You know what I'm saying, Corey?
Yeah.
That's
No,
a little different.
I
Yeah,
thought
they all
that's
working
what
on
they
that,
was
though.
doing.
Yeah, they working on that. Yeah. But this right here is actually made in a different environment. Watch this. Let me show you on my screen. All right. Let me make sure I get this right. Let me share. Oh, man. Okay. Hey, where you at, CK? Since you woke. Since you woke.
Yeah. I ain't gonna lie, I fell asleep like twice.
Yeah,
Jesus.
you cannot believe you missed that, man. The doctor was killing it, man.
I mean, I think I fell asleep at the beginning-ish. I don't know. I don't think I slept too well last night.
Oh, man. All right, can you see the screen? You see the screen? CK?
Yeah, it takes a second. What's up?
Read that for us so we can get the difference. Let's start off with that is what we're talking about.
All right, for those in the chat, please pay attention. Amputated vaccines derived from wild or disease-causing viruses or bacteria that have been weakened under laboratory conditions. Am I pronouncing this correctly? Amputated?
Yeah.
Amputated?
Amputated.
Attenuated.
Attenuated.
Oh, my bad. I knew I was probably mispronouncing that. Thank you, guys. Attenuated vaccine is strong enough to cause immune response, but too weak to cause disease.
Stop. So it does not cause a disease. And I think this is a very, very important point to get that, because this is the gray area that people trying to give us misinformation. I'm not saying you, Uncle Jay. I'm just saying they play in that area right there. It's not strong enough to cause the disease. Go ahead, keep going, CK.
AVs stimulate an excellent immune response that is nearly as good as compared to an infection with the wild type pathogen. Viruses are often attenuated or weakened by growing them in cells that don't normally grow in for many generations. The viruses begin to evolve and adapt to these new cells so that they are less able to live in their preferred environment.
There you go.
Anybody got any questions in the chat? Y'all got questions? Hopefully people understand. It's pretty much what I said before. It's not really the same per se.
It's not. There's no way remotely close.
Because it can't do what the virus normally does, which is trying to attach itself to your flipping cells, and it is using your natural processes of your cells reproducing to reproduce itself. That's what the flipping viruses are doing. So what they're putting in the vaccines is not the same because it can't do that.
All right, can you see this?
Now I'm waiting
Step
for
one.
it.
Y'all see that? You see that, sis?
Yeah. Might have to zoom in a great deal. I mean, I can read it, but the chat might not be able to.
Oh man, I can't even make it no bigger. Let me see.
Well, stop having a bazillion flipping tabs open. Open it up in another tab and zoom in. Zoom in features right there.
What's talking about? I got you. All right, here we go. Go ahead. Step one. We will do all the steps. Step one. Go ahead.
All righty. For step 1, you are about to create a live attenuated vaccine, which means that you need to alter a pathogen so that it will still invade cells in the body and use those cells to make many copies of itself, just as it would any other live virus. The altered virus must be similar enough to the original virus to stimulate an immune response, but not so similar that it brings on the disease itself. To create a new strand of the virus, you'll need to let it grow in a tissue culture.
There you have it. There you have it. That's not even complicated. That's very, very simple. Very simple. And, and we just got to continue. And you can find this information anywhere, readily available to you. So Uncle Jay, I mean, that's
I'm listening.
Yeah, that's what I show how they make it. Like some people like allergic to eggs and stuff, right? They can't use them, right? Okay, because they growing it in that environment. You feel me? They use a different environment and using a different environment to create something different. You know what I'm saying? It's like a wild tiger is different from a tiger raised at home. Although that might not be a good example because a daggone non-wild tiger can still bite the hell out you, right? But in the case of a virus, though, man, it's just enough. So you trying to say basically if they make a mistake, you grass. But that's what
they're gonna test it first.
That's what you really want to say on here. I'm gonna let you say it. I'm gonna let you say that. Where you at, brother Reggie? Marvin?
Hey, brother Ark, I'm here. It's a great show. Yeah. I'm glad we have a new friend. He was very, very strategic, very
like he's supposed to be.
Yeah, he's very strategic. He doesn't want to cause any drama. I see Brother Sheffrin really trying to push the envelope. He don't play. Did you let everybody know that me and you tomorrow are going to have a discussion on the coronavirus?
No, I know you. So what's your point on that though? That what the virus is man-made?
Well, first of all, you call me pseudo in front of everybody, and I don't take that. I think now you're calling me pseudo, so that means anybody that disagrees with you is pseudo. My point is that this particular coronavirus is, first of all, we're going to have to, check out what this coronavirus is, and does it possibly have a gain function on it, and possibly do some people have a possible remedy, treatment, cure, and we just gonna discuss some points. So I don't think anything I said merited you calling me pseudo. But you, my brother, you could call me anything you want. But I just think to be dismissive, and so tomorrow we just gonna have a conversation. Let me put my face on. Let me put my face on this, right? Let me put my face to the voice, right? Start video. So I can look you, me and Brother Reggie, one of your researchers, one of your good brothers, you call pseudo just automatically because...
Why I call you pseudo?
Because I feel that this particular virus may have a gain of function on it, and we're going to discuss that. And I'm not saying that the American government put the gain of function on it. I'm not saying that China put the gain of function on it, but this, wait, can I ask you real quick? Do you think that this is a evolutionary, this comes out of natural selection and evolution without manipulation?
Of course, bro.
Okay, so that's what that's what we're gonna have the conversation on. You think that this is?
Can you repeat that again? What are y'all having a conversation on exactly what you just said?
He basically said the coronavirus is man-made.
I've been putting links in the chat this entire night proving that it isn't.
Okay, so CK, can you be a guest on Unc West's show tomorrow? Anybody from the
It's a waste of time.
Anybody from the pseudo killers? Can y'all free to join Brother Unc and get to smoke? But CK, I'm gonna.
Are you serious?
Yes, Sister CK. But you know, CK, I'm gonna handle you a little more nicely, Brother Unc.
I'm not the scientist. I'm not the one that wrote that scientific paper proving that it was naturally mutated itself. I threw 3 articles in the chat, and guess what? I'm gonna throw them in the back chat, and I'm gonna throw them in the regular YouTube chat again. You don't need to debate me. You don't need to debate none of us on this panel. You need to get at the scientists and how they came to their conclusion.
That's not. Yeah, you know, you debate sources with sources.
Okay, throw your sources up then.
I will tomorrow.
Well, why you gotta wait till tomorrow?
Right.
No, because only reason why CK is because called me pseudo. So now I'm just. He called me pseudo, and so I'm gonna put my brother Unc West on the spot. But listen, Unc West has beat me up and down on my elder Dr. Ben. So Unc is not no slouch. He beat me up and down on Dr. Ben's work on evolution. Who's snoring?
It's probably Kent or Corey.
So me and Unc is going to have this conversation on whether or not that this
it's man-made, right?
That it can possibly be man-made and have a gain of function.
Yeah, you tripping. Yeah.
And how would it have been man-made exactly? What would you have had to do to it?
I'm not going to tell you.
But should I not drop these sources on? Because I've been putting them in the chat this entire night.
He ain't gonna know. He's not gonna do it.
I'm gonna drop them. I ain't scared.
Oh well, you know, CK, you should do whatever you can to help the head of the pseudo killers, the God killer.
See the head of it. There you have it. Her and Doc is.
I just put them in the back chat, and I'm gonna put it in the YouTube chat.
So, hey, Concrete Corey.
And Corey don't fell out on y'all, man.
He ain't done. Concrete Corey.
What's up, Art? Go ahead.
He mad because I called him pseudo because he said the coronavirus was man-made. Please tell him what he is.
Yeah, that's pretty pseudo, man. You know,
pseudo-scientific.
You know that, yeah. That's pretty. I mean, if you do a little bit, I don't know what. I'm not gonna. Brother Reggie, I hate to call Brother Reggie pseudo because I kind of look up to Brother Reggie.
Let's give him the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah.
Benefit of the doubt. Brother Reggie, what facts are you basing this on that is man-made?
You don't know.
What led you to that conclusion?
I'm gonna bludgeon him tomorrow.
Because they've already taken this virus.
Because you never know, you might be able to convince us tonight.
Yeah, they took the virus apart and put it back together. Like they got it. The genome. This is a part of a family of viruses. The coronavirus. Coronavirus is a family.
Like 8 strands.
And then it's got a lot of different ones in that family. So I mean, this is just a new one that they don't really know about yet. So that's all that is. But corona is a big family as far as I know. You know what I mean?
And not the beer, Reggie. The beer is man-made.
The what?
The beer is man-made.
Yeah, fermentation.
Yeah.
Not the virus. You tripping.
What does beer got to do with this?
All right, but I'm gonna get him good. When he jump out there, CK.
Well, he's talking about my IPA. My IPA, 90-minute IPA. That I am. Look. So Corey, it's gonna happen about 2 o'clock. CK, it's gonna happen about 2 o'clock.
Yeah, I'm gonna give him the link.
I might be playing some Call of Duty.
Huh?
It's gonna be Call of Duty.
I don't know, or snuggling up on my man, because I don't know, he mad as hell about me for staying up late last night.
You want to indulge in the challenge to beat the brakes off from a Sarnetta? Let's bet how long it takes for Divine to pop up and mess up the whole
Divine.
You want to push? No, Corey's my brother, and I don't want to do it to brother Corey, but me and Corey, we could talk for like 6-7 hours, right?
Yeah.
But do you want to push? You want to save face by pushing one of how can I say one of your how can I say you one of your experts?
Yeah. Nah. Listen, I ain't pushing.
You want to give brother Corey? You can make a name for yourself tomorrow.
Yeah, see, that's my thing. I'm not an expert on the.
No, Corey, he's not an expert. He's trying to make plans.
You know what I'm saying? That's not really my.
No,
none of us are experts. Even the dude that we had on, he wasn't an expert. He was just into the 5G stuff.
You say what?
I'm saying the guy that you had on, he wasn't an expert like into the vaccines and the virus and whatnot. He was just an expert on the 5G portion, and that's what some people in the chat were getting confused on. He's like, yo, just
they try to bait you in, Corey. He said he gonna make you famous if you step.
Yeah, don't do it.
If you want to talk about the
cosmos, I like you, Reggie. Don't do it.
You know what I'm saying? If you want to talk about some astrophysics or the cosmos,
no. Listen.
Okay, you
behind your back.
Corey, out of it. You out of it. I accept that. So, what's this other brother Sheffrin? Anybody that you put up tomorrow, I got you.
You know what, y'all? Hey, here's my word, yo. Listen, we got the pseudo killer replay. We're going to get him on the replay because he's going to have to show his sources tomorrow. So basically, tomorrow, I'm going to be having fun with Reggie. I'm going to be throwing left hooks, the jabbing. Hey, Corey, Concrete Corey, we're going to smoke him out like everybody else.
Yeah,
we're going to let you fall. As soon as he put them, Corey, as soon as he put them sources up, he's dead, man.
Yeah, brother Reggie, you know.
Dead man walking. Yo, right now, you good, man. You're going to win the first round, dog. We're just going to respond. Like, play, it ain't over with. Look, we just start one. Play, you think it's over with. Go ahead. Hey, Reggie. How you feeling, though, Reggie? Because I know you were sick like 3 weeks ago. So you done already had the corona. Now you got antibodies against it.
Well, sometimes people can get placebo. They can have fake symptoms. I never got the headache. I just had a cough and I had just fatigue. I laid in the bed for like 3 days straight. I think the majority of people in New York City has come in contact with the coronavirus. I haven't.
Whoa. I heard my name.
Yeah, they trying. Hey, man, he said he'll make you famous on Sarnetta tomorrow, yo.
For what?
Yes, Sheffrin.
The virus is man-made. Man, we'll beat the brakes off him. We're going to let him bring his sources.
Who said the virus was man-made?
Man, him, Dr. Reggie. Dr.
No,
almost
he did.
Dr.
I don't
Reggie.
believe that. Dr. Reggie's sleepy.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, Sheffrin.
I'm not gonna say I respect Reggie too much for me to even play with him like that.
Hey, Unc is looking for somebody. Unc is looking for somebody to push in front of him because he called me pseudo. See, you haven't called me pseudo yet. You just kind of disagreeing with me and trying to treat me like a brother, a big brother or uncle. Unc called me pseudo on Sarnetta's show.
Yeah, I had to, yo. Y'all was bugging out. Sarnetta was over there. Y'all had like 200 people. Y'all had like 2,000 people in that chat room. I was like, man, look, they're absolutely out of their mind, that pseudo.
Okay. We know where the virus come from, though.
Where does it come from? Sheffrin, where does it come from?
Have you not been watching the shows for the past 3 weeks?
Like, what the?
That's why I'm really, really, listen, I do not believe that the virus has anything to do with 5G. It has nothing to do with any of that. I don't.
So what does it have to do with then?
I don't have your smooth voice, CK, will probably in a bar make me buy you a drink. But this debate, I'm just not so sure. Where does Sheffrin? Where does the virus come from?
Hold on now. It's a conversation. If you want to have a conversation about it, that's cool. But a debate about where
we're not experts, sir.
You willing to jump out there like that?
Yeah, he diving. He already dove out the Empire State Building. By the time tomorrow he gonna hit the ground, blah. He already.
Yeah, it's live. It's Brother Reggie against the pseudo killer face to face, because he called me a researcher of his, a good brother of his, somebody who he's used time and time again to flatten foes, right?
Nah, you pseudo with everything, yo. You just on that one item in your life, you're a pseudo.
Wait 1 second. So Sheffrin,
yes, sir.
Catch the bullet. Where does this particular virus come from?
What?
It came from the bat.
A pendulum. A bat mixing with a pendulum.
Yeah, like how do human beings create that, Dr. Reggie?
Man, he know that, man. He tripping. A bat, then the
Wait, Sheffrin. It came from Sheffrin. Wait,
the original virus came from bats and penguins. They noticed it back in the 60s, yo. This shit has been mutating every since. That's how we got SARS, MRSA, and then our lovely SARS too.
That's absolutely not correct.
That's not correct?
Don't
I've been throwing sources in the chat this entire night that says that.
All right, hold on, CK. So
wait, hold on, let's do this.
We done told you where we the information that we got and where it says it come from. Now, can you tell us your version?
Nope. He got hiding for tomorrow. But he got
ain't no hide because he know what we said. So we want to hear what you got to say and whether it's worth a debate. If we gave you outside, we ain't hiding our hands.
I threw all of it in the back chat. All of it.
We want to hear what you got right now. We didn't give you what we got. That's all we got. It's out there.
I probably got more than that. You might want to be careful.
I'm a light. He ain't getting past the Lancet, the Journal of Nature, the Journal of Science. I ain't even looking right. He done.
Right. So I'm saying that's where we at, Dr. Reggie. So I want to know.
Brother Reggie, don't call me Dr. Reggie.
Brother Reggie.
Just don't call me Reggie. Don't just call me Reggie. Call me Brother Reggie, right?
I'm cool. Listen, Brother Reggie, I asked you a question. Where you saying the virus comes from? Because we done told you where we say it come from. Now we need to hear
we can source up.
Don't hide your hand.
It came from a lab.
Oh, you're crazy.
Which lab?
Man, the lab is Sarnetta Studios. That lab.
Which lab you talking about, though?
Just let them get beat up.
A lot of labs all over the place.
Don't worry about it.
What evidence are you basing on it? It came
Was it a lab in China?
We could be wrong, yo. We could be wrong. You might be able to convince us tonight.
I think I know what he's talking about. Yeah, that they had a paper. They had a.
Hey, let them. Nope, don't nobody say nothing.
Well, because Corey is trying to save you.
No, he's not.
No, I'm not. Corey. No, Corey. Because the journal is not.
Corey, don't take my ammunition away from me. Don't do me like
that. I was about to, but I'm gonna be quiet.
Don't do that, because I'm gonna shoot him up in there. I'm an intellectual gunfighter. You know me. I'm Brother Unc. You know me.
To answer your question, Don, no.
Brother Reggie, I think it should just be a conversation.
You better take it back, Reggie.
What you say, Brother Sheffrin?
I think we all family, so it should just be a conversation.
Yeah.
It
you
ain't.
You can do it right now.
No.
It's an interesting article, though. I think it's worth talking about. Go ahead, though.
It's right, but not a debate. Hey, Corey, you hold that article for tomorrow. We're gonna do him like he's doing us.
I ain't gonna put no information out there, and I ain't gonna give it away. I'm just saying it's interesting. I think it's worth having, like Shepard said. I think it's worth having a conversation about. As far as
hey, Brother Corey, I may use that article, that pseudo article that you have. I may use that article.
Which article?
The article ain't really pseudo. I mean, it's really not pseudo. It's scientific, but it's not. You know,
the
you gotta
conclusion.
You gotta read it better. It's just how you read.
That's what Reggie do. He always miss. That's what we say. When a person is pseudo on a topic, they always hold on. We're gonna say this in union. We gotta say this in union, yo. Right? When a person, I'm saying, is pseudo, the pseudo always dies. What, y'all?
At their source.
Yeah.
They always die at their source. You're gonna die at your source.
That's why you don't want to drop the source now.
You don't drop it.
Because you can't even get past what I just dropped in the back chat.
You don't want to know.
And that's a combination of stuff that don't share it with us. People on the panel have shared with me. Other people that, have shared stuff with me on Facebook. Stuff that I looked up myself.
No, we shouldn't be fighting amongst each other at this time.
No, we're actually we're actually not. We're actually going to inform the public. And guess what?
That's what I'm doing right now in the chat now.
If you whip up Brother Reggie, you good.
Do it, y'all.
I don't think you deserve this one, though, Brother Reggie.
You don't deserve it, Reggie.
Why don't you? Because Sheffrin, I just asked you a simple question.
Look,
how did this virus occur? And you said bats and pangolins.
Hold up, everybody. Everybody freeze. I think I see what he's about to do, yo.
No,
everybody need to freeze because it's because of what somebody just said in the chat that would make me think about this. The virus originally now came from bats and pangolins, but we did not directly get the virus from them. The shit mutated
in humans,
made it transferable from one species to another. That's how we got the virus. They are not 100% sure what that intermediary species was that allowed us to get the virus. But the original virus came from them, though.
What original virus?
Let me make sure I clarify that because I see where he's going, though.
I don't know where he's going. He already dove.
No, you better listen to CK.
He free falling. Hey, CK. It mutated you, CK.
Hey, CK.
Yeah, because when Don Dada said, he said, what did he say, can the original virus be transferred to humans? That's what made me think about that because I was like, no, it has to mutate.
Yeah, we talked about that.
Went over this like almost a month ago, y'all.
No, last week. It was last week. Brother Kent talked about how
Reggie said it was created in a lab.
Like a month ago about the zoonotic virus,
Brother Reggie just said it was created in a lab.
Yeah,
different type of viruses. Like some of them can only affect that species, and then there are some viruses that go trans-species. And then you got the zoonotic ones that go from one species to our species.
Y'all are looking really, really bad.
Not necessarily, because it's just the facts. There are some viruses that only affect that species and that don't even bother us. And same, because I'm about to drop it in the fucking chat, that there are some viruses that we gave to other animals. And yes, I got a video on that and I'm going to drop it in the chat. Stand by.
I love Black women, boy. I mean, Black women always trying to save their brothers.
Well, I love the brothers. Y'all fine as hell,
I appreciate that, sister. And that's why you're not going to get to smoke. And you probably closer. But Sheffrin, my brother Sheffrin and and where's Corey? Why Corey get so quiet?
Corey done fell out on y'all, man.
Concrete Corey.
Nah, I'm still in the
Kent
building.
still here? He probably fell asleep on y'all, man.
Cause we gonna find out.
Hold on, let me see how much time we had because this was a good show. I'm not gonna do it. I'm not gonna have 10 hours. No, I'm not. I'll start another one first. Let me see.
Yeah, save the show.
Hold on. Y'all tripping. Y'all think Reggie, hey, if y'all think Reggie gonna end up on the replay,
That replay is deadly.
Hit 1. Y'all know that replay is deadly.
Brother Reggie is in the epicenter.
1.
I am in the epicenter of the coronavirus. More deaths in New York.
Whatever.
It has surpassed China. I have lived through 9/11.
That make you an expert?
I lived through Castle Hill projects. Right?
He a survivalist.
His London ran out.
And I lived through these some of these comedics calling me unclean. Need some sun and need a colonic.
Got the ones, Reggie. Reggie, we got the ones coming up. Come on, y'all. I'm gonna say it again. Hit 1. How many of y'all think Brother Reggie, right? Because we never know how it's gonna turn out on Sarnetta Studios. It could go any kind of way. Y'all know how to go. Divine might call in a surprise attack by Polite. You just never know. But I'm asking y'all, how many of y'all think with 1 did he gonna make the daggone replay? Pseudo killer replay. Will we slow down the video and come up with this? How many of y'all think he gonna make that?
Brother Reggie?
Yeah, you gonna make the replay. Everybody
replay my debate on the Moors. Slow that down. Right? I talked about stuff that people are just talking about right now. Yeah. Slow that down.
We're gonna make the replay.
Right?
We got 114 people here, man. Man, we're here for 2 hours, man. I think we need to cut this show short.
All right. Hey, Unc.
What? You're done, son.
Unc, look at me.
I'm looking at you.
Book up.
I'm looking at.
Hey.
I'm getting there. I'm beat you up, man.
Hey, Sheffrin. Hey, Sheffrin.
I don't want no smoke.
You don't want no smoke.
Corey.
I would all be smoke. I would all. Hey, I bet you can't get around the Lancet. Can y'all see that? What that say, y'all? What's the title of that?
Statement in support of the science. I can replay it. I can replay it on a.
No. Hey, this journal is called The Lancet. Look, y'all see this? Look, I'm gonna do this. Look, The Lancet. Do y'all know what this is? It's like being on the battlefield, yo, and having an AKA and a daggone bazooka gun behind you and a daggone tank. I'm letting y'all know right now, man, I got a tank. Not only a tank, I got a matter of fact, this is like having an army. He's done. Remember, Divine Suspect, he didn't have no prestigious journals. He always got the open access. Hey, Reggie, we don't play the open access around here. This would we play this the big boys. Do not play these articles that aren't paid.
I got the Lancet. Stop.
All right, I know you do. You need to use that. Come with that.
I got the Lancet. I mean.
He don't agree with it.
Yeah,
No. I agree with the Lancet.
All right.
What?
Okay then.
Yeah, I agree with the Lancet.
All right.
It's just that you know, reading is a right. So we're gonna do this cool, calm.
Yeah, I ain't bugging. To Divine jump up on there. You know he coming, yo.
No, we're not. It's just gonna be. I hate for it to be you, and this didn't happen to happen. You just called me pseudo in front of a public that hates me, and I do so much research, right?
I ain't called you pseudo.
Evidently not into this coronavirus.
CK, are you gonna be around tomorrow? Because you know you're a stand-up sister. I love a sister that supports their brothers, Dr. Mara. Who else? Sister Kaba, Naya. Who am I missing? Dr. Yaya. Hey, and y'all out in front. Y'all actually, some of you are out in front. I love that African womanism work that the women sisters are doing. I'm certainly going to help. I'm helping two sisters on African womenism, Dr. Tyrene Wright and Sister Naya. With Sister Naya, I got some real. Hey, listen, if I have to debate the kinetics, I'm just trying to figure out. I can't debate Jabari anymore, right?
Yeah,
I'm just trying to figure out what other kinetic I need to debate, right? Because I don't think. So the problem is, I don't think that they know enough. I don't think that they know enough. I think that some of them
debate Bujawa.
Ujawa don't debate. Ujawa don't debate. He like discussions. He don't debate. So we have to find somebody who want to debate me on the changes of ancient Egyptian religion, and instead of making it seem like it's all one religion, that it did not change, and that it's all the same thing, and that the changes don't matter, right? And they say some of them they make it look like 18th dynasty was the how can I say everything that we know about ancient Kim is the 18th dynasty, and the other known religions and they don't count, and they believe, they really believe some. Now they're moving off. Some of them now are saying that they're not gods, they're principles, and some of them are saying that they're gods, and they don't see the different changes. And so they're selling it to the people that it's just one particular thing, and they don't do enough research to know the difference between funerary texts and living texts. So for them, the funerary text, so they got them worshiping, they do these ceremonies and stuff like that, but these are funerary ceremonies. I haven't seen a ceremony that's not funerary. Have y'all?
No, not in the middle of a pandemic. I'm not talking about Egypt.
You said what?
I'm not talking about Egypt in the middle of a damn pandemic. As a matter of fact, I'm out of here, man. Look, hey, family, look, man, appreciate y'all coming through. We're a little bit over 2 hours, man. We want to keep these short and sweet, man. Shout out to the doc that came through. Dr. Oya, my yacht, man. Any closing statements, Concrete Corey?
No, peace. I just appreciate you having the doctor on and Dr. Mahad on. Appreciate Brother Reggie coming through. Appreciate everybody in the chat and all the viewers. And be safe out there.
And be safe out there, yo. How about you, Chef Renell?
Yeah, I'm glad the doctor was on the show. I don't know if it was clear what happened. It wasn't clear to me. So I think it's something that we got to further go into, because I believe that the doctor was being very generous, and he don't know polite the way this community know him. So, he was giving them every benefit of the doubt, but we know exactly what polite was trying to put forth. The doctor was being generous, right? He didn't want to jump out the window.
Right. He wasn't supposed to.
Yeah, he didn't want to jump out the window, but for us,
I'm jumping.
Yeah, we know when a person make a statement, like when a person like polite makes certain statements, he's trying to play in a gray area and push people to one side or cause confusion. None of that is good at this time right now. So, other than that, Brother Reggie, good luck tomorrow. I'd rather for it to be a conversation, and peace to everybody. And like Corey said, be safe out here.
CK, the poet.
Oh, my bad. Peace to the panelists once again. Peace to the chat. I appreciate everybody coming through tonight. I have been dropping a plethora of flipping links. There should be no excuse why anybody should not know what a virus is, or at least have a general idea what a virus is, what this coronavirus is, knowing that it was not man-made, because I dropped plenty of sources for y'all to read. Not saying you got to all read it all tonight, but just snatch them up, save them, and then take a look at them over time. Plenty of videos I dropped as well to help you get a better understanding of this virus. And, you know, of course, like, favorite the show, share the show. Check out Abjuware, see if y'all want to snatch up some nice gifts for friends and family. And, you know, little killers.
Yeah, you won't be fresh on y'all live streams, yo. Wear them RBGs, yo, and all that on them live streams, man. You know what I'm saying? And you got them pseudo killers shirts coming out too. All right. I mean, you know, man, they hot, fresh off the press, man. All the brothers and sisters gonna be carrying them. So, you know, if you're in the area, man, you can get some shirts, man. All right, with the pseudo killers on there, man. Dr. Oyama, where you at? Unmute yourself. Unmute. No, she's not here. She's probably out of there, man. So everybody that spoke on the subject. Look, man, I appreciate you, brother Reggie. You want to close the statement before you get the brakes beat off you tomorrow? You close the statement, brother.
No, I like the work. I like the work that you're doing. I think that you're stand up. You're stand up. We just have a little minor disagreement because Aunt called me pseudo. But outside of that, I love y'all.
That's the death sentence around here. Somebody call you pseudo.
Yeah, you just can't go around calling everybody goddamn pseudo, huh?
Hey, Shepard.
Reggie took that shit personal.
Yeah, you can't fucking do that. You know?
Look, man, 5 years ago, ain't nobody even know the damn term. Yo. I started using the term. Motherfucker be like, what?
I never seen Reggie take something personal. This is the first time.
From my brother. From my brother. I mean, you don't disagree with my work on Kemet means black people.
I take it back, man. I take it back, man. Everybody, man, retract that from the record. He's not a pseudo. I didn't call him a pseudo certificate. I didn't do that to him. I didn't call, you know, that's for divine suspect. I didn't call him the king of the pseudos. You know, that's brother for life. You know what I'm saying? On this particular subject matter.
Yeah, that definitely sparked the fire under Reggie. He called everybody on the panel out.
Yeah, boy.
I wasn't even on here. Look, I'm listening on YouTube. I wasn't even Brother Shepard.
I don't even go to side of the channel, man. I'm boycotting that trash.
Reggie wanted that smoke.
That's your feelings. I'm not ever boycotting Brother Son. I'm appreciative.
Man, I hope that dude's get
go over there.
Y'all tripping.
Give some right.
I had your back the whole time, though, brother Reggie.
Why you lying,
Listen, I might make a replay.
I get your feelings. I know.
It's not really going to be a replay. What it's going to be is excuses.
Look, you got till 2 o'clock. Change your ways, bro. Yo, that's gonna be a hard one, yo. Do I look? Hey, look, check this out, man. I'm chilling, yo. I got the hot piece in my hand.
I just want to see how much grayer you are after that show.
Hey, look, man, let me get off this live, man. I'm gonna stay right here. I ain't finished with you, Reggie. Hey, man, everybody, thanks for support, man. Support Abjuware, man. You know, yeah, man, I got a call. What did you do? Here we go. Hello? 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 Yes, I'm loud. You want me to mute it out? Son, they don't hear me, right? No, I'm gonna mute it out.
Lord have mercy.
Yeah.
This is out of hand. Yo, what the fuck? You can't even have a live show where we just discuss shit.
You could. You just don't go around calling everybody pseudo.
No, I ain't talking about that. I'm talking about like you. That, you know, that's neither here nor there. No, but you definitely took that personal. But that's what's up, though, Reggie. You know?
Yeah. Yeah.
That one got under your skin.
Yeah, because I
now we know that's the go button. That's the go button for Brother Reggie. Call him pseudo.
No, some people I don't even speak to. Some people's not even it's just really not relevant. Unc is relevant.
All right, that's the go button. Unc call you pseudo.
Yeah,
and it's on.
Hey, look, we out, man.